This is Trevor Dion Nicholas, and you are checking out The Blacker the Berry.
Shit. Listen here, motherfuckers. We have a special guest in the building all the way from across the pond, y'all. Listen, though, he was born and bred in Morgantown, West Virginia. He's an international star, motherfuckers. He has performed in the U.S., Canada, Germany, Japan, and currently the U.K. In the United States. Listen, what up, bruv? You know, in the United States, you may have seen him regionally in Superfly, Ragtime, the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee and the Wiz, of course. You know, a brother's got to be in the Wiz. Nationally, in the States, you have definitely seen him on the North American tour of Big River. You also have seen him in Aladdin as the Genie, but he decided to go over to the UK, Los. And when he went to the UK, he decided that he was going to do something, something, kind of big, for some of y'all. Y'all may not really understand the flex I'm about to put on y'all, but he decided he was going to go originate the motherfucking role as the Genie in Disney's Aladdin on Broadway in the West End. But then guess what? His work's not done there, Los. His work is not done there.
What do you do?
Listen, then he decides he wants to go over to Hamilton, play George Washington. The first president of the United States of America is a black man, y'all. Listen, he has a band called Neighborhood Goliath. Album's out now. Your fears will not be soothed. Out on all streaming platforms. His mama and daddy named him Trevor Dion Nicholas, so you will address him as such. Los, cue that applause, player. Always editing the applause. What's up, Trev?
Edit it in. Don't even edit it in. Just let it run. Just let it run like that, because that's pure and honest. What is up? What's up, my boy?
What's going on, Trevor? Always from the UK. Thank you for being on the show. We appreciate you. We're like wrapping up our UK tour right now. BTB is officially global.
Thank you.
As it should be.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Listen, we appreciate that, especially coming from you, because you actually know, I'm gonna get into that a little bit later. But you know what? We'll get into that a little later. But actually, everybody, we know that we have had a few of the Genies on, so we know a few. Listen, we know when we have come out with these episodes, y'all kind of want us to get into the Disney, and then we can get into our normal fuckery. So that's what we're gonna do for y'all. All right,
let's get the Disney. Let's get the mouse out the way.
Listen, let's go ahead and pay homage. But I actually want to bring it back for Trevor to 2005. So let's talk about his original Genie journey. His Disney journey, I should say. Ooh. So you started out, at Disney World, Florida, in the Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
So and then in the Lion King, talk about that for us, player. How did that come about?
So that was as I was leaving school, I went up with my boy Brian Rupenkamp. We'd gone to high school together. We went to WVU together for acting. But we kind of we're still friends. He's deeply devout vegan life now, but we're still very good friends. And his definitely
that's a deal breaker.
Yeah, no, but he's definitely gradually guilted me into it. I haven't fully committed, but I've been aiming far more plant-based, and I know I won't ever fully be accepted until I make the full leap. But for now, I'm making these transitions to meet with my boy Brian.
Don't do it.
No.
Don't do it.
No.
You better than that. Don't do it, son.
No, don't listen to Dean. Meat is a delicacy, man. Treat yourself to some nice plants.
Gains.
I've been trying to treat the meat like it's a special thing, as opposed to just every day. But especially growing up in black houses, you're if the meal isn't based around what the meat is, then it's
there's no meal. Right.
So my mom still will be she'll be well, what's the meat? What's the meat? What are we doing? It's that's the focus of everything else revolves around that.
Absolutely.
So breaking that habit is difficult, because we grow up with that, we get used to that, and the idea of the meal. But I digress. Anyway, back.
I guess about meat.
Brian Rupenkamp and I drive up to New York City from Morgantown, West Virginia. It's about 6.5 hour drive. So we drive up to stay the night, and we're going to do a big cattle call audition, where a bunch of summer stock theaters and different companies from all over the country are there, and they're going to watch. They know they're watching a bunch of about to be fresh out of college students audition, and then possibly get some summer gigs. And so I had a few callbacks from the audition, and one of them was with one of the casting directors from Disney from the park down in Florida. And he was like, yeah, we're really interested in you for Festival of the Lion King. Is it cool? So I like go through all the audition material that they gave me to like kind of look at. And then he was like, great. And it went far too smoothly far too smoothly. So I was like, okay, so this is the thing. So I was 21, 22. Let me think. Yeah. And then
a question for you though. You also did you got fitted same day, right? When you were doing your auditions, or was that when you had the callbacks?
So that was the same day. They were checking like sizes and like checking the size of my head for that big hat and like all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, but at the same time, I'm assuming they do this for everybody, not knowing that this is a unique experience that I'm having, because I had that same experience where I got fitted in an audition years later when I auditioned for Universal Japan, where they fitted me in the audition again for the second time. I was like, oh, and that time I was like, okay, I probably got it because they're fitting me in the audition and they did this last time.
Right.
But they fitted me. They were like measuring me and stuff. So I go back to West Virginia, and then I got the call, and then like packed up my stuff and moved down to Orlando, Florida, Gator Country, and down
for real,
swamps and the humidity and the oranges, and this predates.
Speaking of humidity.
This predates the face eating issues in Orlando, like and all that. Predates all that. This predates all that stuff.
Oh, okay. So you were down there before bath salts.
Yes,
I was down
bath salts.
I hit Orlando before bath salts did. Yes, before Florida Man was like a trending thing. Right. I was a man moving to Florida, so like
and you have to clear that up too. You have to,
yes,
because it's
absolutely.
Because
people need
you
to
move
know,
to Florida,
you are.
Yeah, you could be Florida Man. You know,
no,
not that you are.
Not me.
No, not today. Not today.
One could assume.
One could make that leap of judgment to place my move to Florida as the emergence of Florida Man. But the concept was not born within me.
Oh man!
I tried my best to dodge that level of nonsense, of hot nonsense.
Yo, this is. Oh man, yo, this is great. I knew that this was gonna be like this. I knew this was gonna be exactly like this. We're gonna get into that later, but we're gonna keep on this for Disney, y'all. We don't want to get y'all. We don't want to get in trouble by y'all. So keep listen, so you know we'll keep on. We're gonna go there in a second. But here is a question though, because we have had the pleasure to have Corey and Major on, who are principals. Yep. We also had the pleasure to have Deontay and Jawan on, who are awesome. They both are standbys, but they also are awesome in everything else that they do in their other endeavors. But we've never had a principal who's originated the role, like in their specific sector. Like yes, James is the triple OG, but in regards to across the waters, you know, everybody got to bow down to, you know, Big Trev. So my question, Trev, is how, when you went over to the UK, I know that you was already doing the Genie as an understudy / standby. But then when you like, all right, we're going to go over here and basically, you know, it's going to be the same show, but, put new things in there. How did you take that on, knowing that, you know, you are the Genie and basically everything else can be good, but if you're not, the show won't work.
Pretty much.
That's just, as a paying fan. I'm just saying, as a paying fan, everybody else can be good, but like if the Genie doesn't do what the Genie's supposed to do, I feel, to me at least, I feel as if the show wouldn't work.
Part of that's because the audience connects with the Genie differently. They have a historical connection with the character. Like we all remember the Genie. We remember Robin Williams' performance. We all connected with that on a level that transcended celebrity at the time. Like this character became part of the global mindset, and like everybody was acknowledging that. So like we already have this historical connection with the Genie. On top of that, the idea of this magical character, just from a storytelling perspective, is something that we as human beings also gravitate towards. So we're like, ooh, like everybody's here, but this dude's magic. So that's the one I'm paying attention to. So there's that as well. And then when the show starts, the relationship with the Genie is established from the get-go. So if that relationship is established weekly, it's difficult to have your audience buy in and come along for the ride with you. So there is this, so that's where I attest this idea of like, if the Genie doesn't work, the show feels disconnected because there's such a connection of humanity through this character, because that character's our window in. That character's our explanation of the universe. That character takes the audience's hand and brings them through, and it worked that way in the animated film, and it works that way on stage.
Absolutely.
So with that said, it's terrifying when you are then thrust into that spotlight and you're like, ooh, I need to really not mess this up. So it's like, but as soon as we started rehearsals here, honestly, the whole creative team is fantastic. And Casey Nichol, our director, was really good with like trying to hit reset as opposed to bringing anything over from Broadway and being like, okay, well, this is what you did there. It was more of like, okay, well, what is this now? What is this in this scenario with this group of people? So you get a unique telling of the story that feels honest and not just like it's copy and pasted from one city to another. Because a lot of the things when I was on Broadway were based off of the things that O.G. James had done. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, okay, we're branching from there. But then we got here and it's like, yes, all that exists, but what is it filtered through me, as opposed to trying to just adapt what we had already done and what had worked over there. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work over here. And like, that was something we kept doing and we kept updating because the Genie is the character that is a little more knowledgeable of current pop culture. Like there's things I could slip in and get away with and push the envelope as far as, and I was always trying to push as far as I possibly could until I got my hand slapped. And I did get my hand slapped many times.
We're definitely gonna have to find out about those, because I've heard you allude to that a few times, but we're gonna need to know these, man.
There's one specific one. That like, okay, so I'll go into it. So there's a medley. If you know the original Broadway cast recording, if you know the show version of Aladdin, the stage show version that was on Broadway on the West End, toured the United States. It's in Germany. It's been in Japan. It's going to Mexico at some point. Like this show it's been in Australia. Like
shout out to Australia. I'm about to say, yeah, shout out
all over the planet. This global phenomenon of Aladdin. There is a medley that happened in the middle of Friend Like Me, where the Genie starts singing through all these other Alan Menken classics, and like he's hitting all these things. He's hitting Little Mermaid. And so the summer that the Beauty and the Beast movie came out, the live action Beauty and the Beast movie came out, I had added something in. And so I added it in once. It got a really good reaction from the crowd. And so I kept doing it. Now I was careful enough to be like, depending on who from the creative team is in, let me not say certain things. But this was one that I was like, I really wanted them to give the big thumbs up on this and be like, this works, we'll keep this one in. So like, I had one of the producers in, I won't say which one. I have a wonderful relationship with this producer to this day. One of the producers of the show was in. One of the like absolutely in charge, sitting at top of the table, head of the table producers is in. And so I'm like, I was literally talking to my dresser and I was like, his name was Chris. I was like, Chris, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the Beauty and the Beast show. And he's like, you know, this person's in. I was like, yeah. That's why I'm going to do it. Now, in retrospect, it was the wrong call, but
don't you love when that happens?
towards the end of the medley, when he goes back to,
oh, I can't wait for this.
He goes back to Beauty and the Beast. I want adventure in the great wide, ever just the same, ever a surprise. And I turn to the audience and say, eat your heart out, Emma Watson. And the audience, the audience loved it.
Wow, that's what we doing?
The table Disney producer didn't love it so much, so I got a very gentle hand slap of like, hey, yeah, we can't do the Emma Watson joke anymore. I was like, damn it. And here's the thing, if I had, and all us Genies do this, no matter what they tell you, we all do this, we plan out which ad-libs we'll do depending on who's in. If we know creatives are in, we'll pull back and do things that are safer. And then if we know we're in friendlier company, we'll push the envelope a little bit more. And so, like, I was so mad at myself because I was like, if I just not tried to like test it, if I tried to not push the envelope too far,
Played it safe.
Written out. There were some
Get your heart
Beyonce
out.
jokes that ended up getting trimmed. But I very much. Oh, so after
This is great.
Beyonce's first pregnancy. So like there was a point where I would do like
No, you didn't.
a single ladies thing. And so like I'd be like bop, 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 bop. And then I turned profile, like mimed being pregnant, gave birth, held the baby. And that was one that stayed for a while. Until again, that was the hand was slapped and they're like, you can't imaginary give birth to Blue Ivy on stage. And so that was cool. I was just trying to show love to Queen Bey. Like I was just trying to show love.
So you are part of the Bayhive. The Beehive.
I come and go. I
respect it.
I appreciate. I admire everything that she's capable of, including.
But you're not out there singing every song and knowing the choreography like how most of the other women.
No, not that deep. I'm not that deep.
Okay. Just want to know. You know, but not that I hate Beyonce. I love Beyonce, of course.
No,
but
same.
You know, gotta be careful.
I do not want to gather any wrath from a very righteous and vocal fan base who
you
I
do not want to feel
they see
the sting of the hive.
No, I do not. Because
Legitly
I don't
sting.
have an EpiPen ready. So I'd like to not get stung.
Yeah, like my little cousin is like, he's a part of that fucking that cult, and no offense y'all, but y'all know what it is.
I didn't say that.
It is.
Listen,
it is though.
BTB needs the smoke, so we don't care. Like, man, what happens? You know what I mean? Any publicity is good publicity to a point, but you know what?
They're not gonna cancel us for calling it a cult. Hopefully.
No. They'll be like, you know what? We could be the Bay cult. We could be. Maybe that becomes if that becomes a new thing. We start.
There's a ring to it. That's what she calls the new album. So you heard it here first.
Bay cult. Hashtag Bay cult.
So that you know what? All right. So then we've kind of gone through a few of the Genie things.
Mm-hmm.
And
wait, I have one question though.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were talking about the just some of the differences in how you didn't want to have copy and paste from Broadway's your rendition and Broadway's rendition. Can you just elaborate on some of the things that little details that made it the nuances that were different?
Well, there was no like the whole thing at the beginning, the Genie reaches into his pocket and pulls out the magic lamp, and he makes a mistake, pulls out a different item, and it was a Statue of Liberty. Did a little pre-show shopping, so that had to be different here. So they were like, because the Statue of Liberty is not going to ring because we're not in New York. So like just like when I went,
Big Ben.
When I went to the tour, it was like we did a local sports team. So like each one was a different like, and depending on which city you were in, like when we were in Pittsburgh, I knew that was outside of my hometown. So I was like, listen, because they were like, I'll just pull out like a Pirates hat. And I was like, listen, I should pull out a terrible towel for the Steelers because that will, and it blew up. So like I pull the towel out, I swing it, and it blows up. And I'm like, okay, so it's that connection, and it's connecting the audience instantly. So here we did where it was an umbrella like with a big Union Jack on it that popped all the way open, and so like it was cute, and like I opened it, like we rigged a special umbrella, so like I hit the button once, it pops open, I hit it again, it pops almost all the way back down, then I had like one sweep in my hand, and then it went back into my pocket. So like that was a whole like thing, that was a whole bit that came out of it. It had to be unique here. I'm trying to remember some of the other changes specifically for here. There were some language ones, like some of the slang terms that we have in American English that are not the same. I really can't remember them now. It's been almost a year. And like, but there was like, it was stuff like that. But at the same time, the main thing that we reset was even the blocking and pacing in the scenes. So like, even though things were blocked a certain way for Broadway, they were like, this doesn't feel the same way with these two human beings doing it. So let's shake it up. Let's make it what feels unique and what feels organic and what feels honest. And that for me is such a strong sign of a good creative team, where they're like, hey, it doesn't have to be, just because I envisioned it this way with these people doesn't mean it works the same way with these people. And it's finding out what feels true with whoever is telling the story. And that was the biggest thing. It's like that we continued to adjust through the entire 3.5 years run of the show.
There is there are two questions I want to ask, and then we are going to pivot off of Disney for all of our Disney fans. No offense, because I really
shout out to the mouse.
Listen, shout out to the mouse, but definitely want to talk about. We definitely want to get into stuff besides the Genie, but there's two questions that are burning me. The first one is this: how was it for you separating yourself from the Genie when you would walk outside? When you would walk outside, where were you performing at the Prince Edward?
Yes, we're at the Prince Edward Theater here.
So you walk outside for the Prince Edward, and you see your face literally all over the place. Like, how was that? Just trying to be Trevor, and everybody's like, "Oh, Mr. Genie, can I? Oh, Mr. Genie, please, Mr. Genie."
It was like,
Mr. Genie, oh, it's the Genie, baby.
I'm not sure they sound like that, but we see what you get.
Honestly, I'd say probably 25% of the time. No, okay, I take that back. 50% of the time, like in the area, if I was around an image of my face, because it was at a lot of places. Like they really rolled out this campaign with my face as the focus of the campaign. There's actually, you can't say it's off camera. I have a giant poster of myself hanging right here.
As you should.
Right here. But it's me. It's the first one they did with me, like with the arms crossed and like just full Genie, and it's sheer genius evening standard. So this would be after we opened and we got our first reviews and stuff. But like they gave me one, I was like, oh, this is wonderful. So it's hanging up in the studio. But like my face was in a lot of places. And so like 50% of the time I would get recognized, and you would see it because people would see and like they'd look and see. And it's like, okay, because even there's not that many like 6'2", 275-pound bald brothers rolling, speak with an American accent rolling through London. So like, it's like, I think that's that guy. But like, okay, so like if 50% of the time I get recognized, if I was near an image of my face or around the theater, like not at the theater, but just in the area in Soho. But then probably like only like 15% of the time would I actually get approached, because you would see people clock it, but that doesn't mean that they're going to approach. And it was a much smaller percentage that would actually like approach and converse or like ask for a photo or something like. So it wasn't that suffocating. Like there's times, of course, when it's like, oh, I don't really want to engage right now. Like I'm dealing with these other things, or I'm feeling a certain way, and then I feel like I have to be on and speak to someone. But for the majority of people were just chill and polite and calm. Of course, you have a few outliers who are uncomfortable and push boundaries, and as you do in anything, you have a very vocal minority, a very vocal minority of like awkward people, even at stage door where people get too handsy, and I'm like, okay, that's my ass. Please don't rub that. There's no genies coming out of there.
Like, I would have yoked somebody up. Like, see, this is why. Hey, what are we doing? Hey, let's talk.
Right. But like that's the
mid autograph. Like, got that one back there.
It's always like you sign and then you come in for the picture and you're like, oh, nope, that wasn't okay. Like, all right,
I'm not okay with that.
All right, but it was usually like, no, let me not profile.
Nah, do that. No, we're about it. We're about it here.
The type we're about of person. But like it was usually an older Disney fan demographic. Not your because like the image of the Disney fan is like you imagine like mid-20s to like early 40s is like your image of like that Disney fan, because we're the ones who like grew up with it, with like it in the full fury. But like the ones who would get handsy were usually just above that age demographic. And they tended to be there with their children, but they had a few too drinks, and I'm like, okay, all right, mom's wilding out tonight, and somebody needs to get her home before she hurts somebody.
She's like, you know what? She's like, you know what, Genie? I fucking
that
fucking Friend Like Me was fucking awesome.
Listen to me. The PTSD is settling in. That was too close to home.
Oh shit. Oh man.
Watch out, Jay Farrell. I'm coming for you, Jay Farrell.
So you know what? One more question, and then we're gonna right off of this. So
we're gonna what?
We're right off of this.
Oh, okay.
So, what is, as the Genie, what is some of the, I want to know, what is the craziest, excuse me, or the funniest time that you missed the cue on stage and then you just had to take the audience on a journey?
Okay, listen. Okay. This was a miscue that was not my fault. This is a miscue that was not my fault, but what it was hilarious. So, I'm supposed to like Aladdin has like he's at the point, and like it's this whole like turning point where he's like, okay, he knows the genie's coming out, so he can like tell him I'm not gonna be able to set you free. It's that point, like that, like the collapse at the end of that second arc. And so like where the friendship really starts to like fracture apart. And so like he rubs the lamp and the music cue, and like smoke comes up, and like I come up out of the floor. So like I'm in the lift, like waiting to come up, like music starts and I'm not moving, and I'm like, ooh. It's a tight cue.
This is interesting.
Like it's not long. It's not long. It's a gotta. I'm so you. And so I'm like, bum, start knocking on the back. So like they get it open. I'm running. And so I have to run up 2 flights of stairs. This is the Prince Edward. Get up and then enter from that side of the stage. So like I've like tried to gently move people out of the way. So I get on stage and I'm like, I'm all packed. But I was like, I'm all packed. And I just burst out. And Matt Croker, who's playing Aladdin, looked at me, and it was just both of us just having to like trying to maintain and keep everything together, because it was such a clear, like there's no, like a lot of times things go wrong on stage in every show, every day, all over the planet. And the majority of the time the audience doesn't know, because we as professionals maintain and continue. We could not maintain.
I wouldn't be able to know what that is.
We're just like, plus there was a clear like Mack truck size hole of like where the music ended and I finally came on stage. That one,
like awkward silence.
The most awkward of silences. And he's like, just poor Matt. He's just repeating. He's like, Genie, like he's trying to like make
Mr. Genie.
Like got out there. Like anybody
Mr. Genie.
That one, and the worst I've ever. Where I full on laughed on stage. So like I'd come out, how's that for smoke and entrance? Big thing. Like first time the lamp gets rubbed, first time the Genie appears. Did the cartwheel, landed. Mr. Genie is here. So I'm going through the whole spiel. I'm talking directly to the audience. And like when I look at Matt, and I could see he's reacting to something, but I don't know what. So then when I finally like turn and look at him and I see that he's laughing, I realized the front of my Genie pants have come completely undone, and they're just like displayed open.
What do you mean displayed open?
Like they like fasten and fold open like this, but they're just like this. And it's like, this is like, if where my head is like is where like my junk is, then it was just like here. And so I was like, oh no. So I literally did like a turn. I did like a 360. And in that turn, I got them closed and then just turned back around and continued the scene. But that does not mean that we were able to not laugh through the entire thing after it happened, because I had spoken to the audience for a good like 3 minutes, like 3 minutes of me communicating to the audience with my pants wide open. And just
there wasn't no kind of like, no. Yeah, I'm about to say, was there kind of some Genie undergarments there? That was
yes, luckily, yes.
protecting the lamp there.
Mm-hmm. He was just out there living free.
Listen,
it was like, oh,
it's a family show.
Oh,
it's a family
that's
show.
The lamp.
Oh, yeah,
they would have shut us down. They would have shut us down.
Listen, like, you know what? It was a good ride while it lasted.
And like in
one of the moms was like, "Oh, that's the lamp I'm looking for."
Great callback.
In retrospect, I was like, because like I communicate with the audience and like they'll shout back and stuff, and I was like, why is the front row being so quiet? Now I know.
They were all up in your business.
They all saw your print, the Genie print.
I was like, what are they looking at? I'm like, oh, there is glitter everywhere.
This is the best Genie. This is the best show I've seen in a while.
Oh man! All right. Well, you know what? Speaking of that, listen, Disney people, we appreciate y'all as always. Listen, thank y'all for stopping by. You know, peace, love, and chicken. You know what I'm saying? Listen, my Disney Plus account is still active.
Oh yeah,
but I'm gonna need y'all to add some more stuff to it though, because I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna
need all moves. I'm gonna need all those new Marvel shows to hit. That's what.
You know what I'm saying? God. Yeah, that's what I need. Like,
shake my hand. WandaVision.
Yes,
I need it.
That one the most.
As
much as I want Falcon and Winter Soldier, I'm really looking forward to WandaVision. I'm really looking forward to what's the animated one with that as well. Yes, yeah. I want. Just saying, I want Charlie Cox's Matt Murdock in the main MCU.
Ooh.
If there's anything from the Netflix Marvel series that I need to carry over, it is Daredevil, because he was untouchable.
He was pretty badass. He was pretty bad. I mean, the end of Defenders is pretty sad, though. I will say
Stop. That. Defenders was not the one. Defenders was not the one.
It was not.
Defenders was not the one. And I blame the majority of that on Iron Fist. I blame the majority of it on Iron Fist.
Dude.
Never worked.
He is. Yo, listen, Disney people. Y'all got 5 seconds to leave. We get into it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. What fucking Iron Fist? Let's get back to his
podcast. Bro, Danny Rand, man. You let me down, Danny.
It was
you
so
let
bad.
me down.
It was so bad. And so Iron Fist that one really broke my heart.
And you know what to me?
It was.
Oh, go ahead.
It was, and the problem was that Defenders was focused so hard around him as well. Like, it was focused so hard around Iron Fist and his ability and like everything that they built from that point. And so it was like, how do you recover when you built everything around this? And this is clearly the point that does not operate well and does not work. And they can't figure out how to get this to like fire on all pistons. And like you're left in a spot where, because they brought Rosario Dawson in again, and like they tried to help him out. They tried to surround him, and everybody else in the cast was good, but your main dude couldn't hold up the best. He couldn't hold it up. Oh, that broke my heart.
I didn't like that, because Iron Fist and Nova are like my 2 favorite Marvel characters. So I'm like, don't fuck this up, because we don't really see them. You know, it's not like Wolverine. We see them every time. There's dozens of remakes.
Constantly.
Yeah, so I'm like, this is something we gotta do delicately. And if I don't have to see them once 20 years, I'll do it. I'll wait. I'm still waiting for Nova to come out in some form.
I think we'll still get it. I still think we'll get it. I think we'll get Nova.
You'll do like a cameo or like an animated series or like a live action? What do you think?
I want, my dream Nova introduction would be in this 3rd Guardians of the Galaxy. That would be
brilliant.
How you, with him being one of few survivors post Thanos eliminating a planet. Like, that is how you introduce Nova. Like, but we've also got to get, if we're talking about 3rd Guardians, they've set up a lot for that 3rd Guardians, because we also have an Adam Warlock introduction that they set up.
Yeah.
Whatever is happening with old school Gamora, who's come through.
Right.
And is Thor sticking with them? So
like,
you've got all these things set up where I'm like, okay, I'm glad James Gunn is back on board.
Yes. And, they named him the Asgardians of the Galaxy. I would hope. Yeah. I would hope he's safe.
Roll with it. At least for like, I need him at least for the first like third of the movie, like the first act of the movie.
Yeah.
Is them like still with Thor.
And I think that's
Thor as well, because thick Thor is everything.
Oh, worthy. Still worthy.
Kind of fit, kind of fat.
Kind of fit, kind of fat. You know.
It was it.
Big fan of the Marvel. So who was your favorite Marvel character? Who you got?
Okay, if we're going with, I'm gonna grab it. If we're going with comics, like just based on comics.
Okay.
Just based on comics. Then it's Cyclops.
Fucking okay. Oh, Scott Summers.
Hold on.
Scott
Cyclops,
Summers.
really?
Because they've
How do you
never
get
done
here?
him right. They've never done him right in the movies. Like I would go with Cyclops and I would go with Storm in a very close second, where it's like these two are mine. But that's because I was X-Men deep as a kid. Like I was X-Men deep.
Right.
Everything else I was into, but X-Men was like the one. If we're going
Scott Summers
MCU,
got the girl. He won. He got the girl. He won.
Yeah, he was everything. But they've never done him correct. They've never done him well in the films. They've never done him well in the movies. I love James Marsden. It was not his fault, but they put him in there as a foil for Wolverine, as opposed to the leader of the X-Men. He was just there for Hugh Jackman to bounce off of, and like it could have been so much more. And we won't even get into the. I have not watched Dark Phoenix. I have not.
Me either.
Yo, me either. I haven't.
Apocalypse was rough, and I was like, I'll just wait.
Apocalypse
was rough.
Yeah. No,
I know y'all gonna start over again, and I'll just wait.
Yeah, no,
I'm good.
X-Men to me is like fucking Star Wars. Like you make episode 5, 6, 7, then you go back and do 1, 2, 3. And I'm like, where are we? What's going on right now? What are we doing?
The continuity of it was a little bit of.
It was all over the place because you get like it's so inconsistent. Because like the first one's good, second one's great. X2 was fantastic.
Yo, son, talk about that.
3 was whack. 3 was whack with the Cure and with the best thing was Kelsey Grammer's Beast. He was fantastic. And that last moment of Wolverine having to, the first time they did the Phoenix Saga, Wolverine himself having to stop Jean. It was a good for that, but it was the weakest of those 3 movies.
I'm arguing that.
The Wolverine movies got real weird because Origins Wolverine was horrible, except for Hugh Jackman and Liev Schreiber, who were fantastic together. Their chemistry as Sabretooth and Wolverine was great. Plus, Ryan Reynolds was fantastic, even though they butchered the character.
His Deadpool was fucking. His Deadpool was odd, like couldn't talk. In the beginning he was alright, but at the end they got real weird.
I'm so confused. I'm so confused with Ryan Reynolds because he's in both of the universes. Like you gotta pick a side, dude. Are you Green Lantern or are you Deadpool?
That's what I loved about the acknowledgement of that through the Deadpool films, and with him going back and killing all his horrible comic entities, him going back and killing Deadpool from X-Men Origins, him going back and killing himself before he accepts Green Lantern. I was like, that was when we're going so nerd deep right now, and it makes me so.
Oh no, I'm about to say we're about this life. We can go into anime too.
If y'all are down, I'm down. Oh my god, we can go into anime because I have my Armored Titan and Colossal Titan displayed above.
Okay, so you're about to bring the Attack on Titan.
Yeah, okay, we can go there too.
AOT. That's
all right. One question before we continue our current conversation. One question. Do you keep up with Boruto?
No, I have not started it because I was so exhausted when Naruto finished. I was so tired. I was like, I don't want to go back into this universe. I'm good. Because there was so much filler at the end of that fucking story where I was like, if you don't get to the point and finish these fights, I'm done. I'm done, son. Like, I'm done. So when Boruto rolled out, I was like, you know what? Y'all can have it. I'm good. I'm good. And what pisses me off is now everybody's like, it's good. It's real good. It's real good. And I'm like,
yo, let me tell you this. As someone who is a huge Jiraiya fan.
Dude.
Yeah, he's back, baby. I'm sorry, I had to.
Spoiler alert.
I'm sorry,
man.
Spoiler alert, y'all. Spoiler alert.
And it's not really him. Apparently, I read the.
It's a clone.
Okay.
Sorry, but I had to give you that, so now you know.
You didn't have to do that.
I had to let them know how gangster it is.
Listen, and I just got my old lady on watching Naruto, and I told her, listen, I was like, this is what we're gonna do. You know, watch part 1, watch the tuning exams and a couple arcs, and then skip straight to part 2. Don't even waste your time with part 1. Because if I hear believe it one more fucking time.
Oh, but I love it.
No. if I hear that sad music with the I don't know if it's an oboe or some kind of weird Chinese wood instrument where it goes back and it's like the sad music is Naruto swinging on the swings and shit.
There are a few things that can get me more hype than when that
yeah. But you see it coming, you see it. You're like, oh, here's a counterattack.
It's time to get popping.
Okay. What was your favorite fight in Naruto? I will go first.
Go ahead.
The fight with Pain. That fight with Pain was so good. It was so good. But that was my favorite story arc. That was my favorite, like that whole. There was so much emotion in that final fight, and oh my god, it was so good. And it was fantastic. It was the perfect payoff. That was my favorite.
It was. I got a
what
couple.
What about you, Los? I'm gonna say because I can't. Like I guess
I can give you top three. I can give you top three.
Hold up. Because with Pain, when Hinata jumps in, when she comes in to protect him, I'm like, whoo! She's like, I got this. Oh, yeah, okay, I'm done.
Shit,
my man was
listen.
That's the one. That's the one.
I was like, how's she not dead?
Yeah.
And then also, too, it's like, he flipped her in the air. How's she not, like, ninja flip and land on her feet?
Right.
Listen, we all know Hinata's got, listen, she was strong, but she ain't believe in herself. So it was a whole bunch of, she had a whole bunch of inner turmoil going on.
She had to get there. She had to get there, and it takes time.
And she got there. She got there.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I think my top three.
Nah. Give us one.
I can't go one. I can't
We all
go.
got to do. Nah, you have to. You just got to choose one. That's why. You got to do one.
All right. I would go, and just for action purposes, I would go Sasuke versus Deidara. I think that fight, it has so many different, it's always like this. It's like this, back and forth. Because when you think oh, Sasuke is dead, and then you're like, oh, wait, he's alive. And then you're like, oh, he's got Deidara on the ropes. And he's like, oh, wait, he doesn't have Deidara on the ropes. And he's like back and forth. And you're just like, oh, so Sasuke's just really fucking smart. You know what I'm saying? And that kind of revealed the brilliance in battle for me for Sasuke.
What the story arc of that character is done so well, because you get to a point where you can't stand him, but you damn sure will respect him.
Yeah.
You're like, okay.
Did we not forget he went on a murdering spree? He went on a murdering spree for like a
was
good.
Murking everybody, son. You gotta go. Yeah.
As soon as he killed Orochimaru to the end of the war, he was on a murdering spree.
I'm fucking everybody up.
Listen, though, the reveal, the reveal of his brother protecting him to the very last, even that last bop on his forehead.
Yo, that
broke me in half. Because you were like, he has been painted as the worst, worst, and you believe
I'm an Avenger.
And then you get that
someone I
want to
kill.
Hey, he was actually trying to take care of your ass the whole time, and you just fucking killed him.
All right, so that brings me to my next. That brings me to a question.
Hold on. Before you get that question, let me give my.
You know this one. This one's different.
So here's who I have to go with, because he's my favorite character, and this is the only time we really got to see him.
Jiraiya versus Pain.
I have to go with the Jiraiya versus Pain, just because it's you knew going in that Jiraiya's gonna die.
Yeah.
You knew the way it was going. I'm like,
go. Yeah.
Did we?
He's about to. Yeah, Jiraiya wasn't coming out of that alive.
And Jiraiya knew he was gonna die. Jiraiya went into it knowing he was gonna die. Like he was
wilding from the get-go. No, because it was
that's part of why the Pain story is my favorite, because this buildup of master to student and the way that pays off in two different ways. It's so well done. Like
that 360.
Yes, it fucks with that hardcore. Yes.
So my question is, what do you guys think was Itachi's random illness?
I don't know he had some fucking. It was Kishimoto. That's who his random illness was. Kishimoto. That's who it was. The same motherfucker who brought back the fourth and was hacking him away because literally he said that he was having issues with his pops. So he took it out on the fourth. This is literally on the internet, people. You can look this up. I read that shit. I was like, so you hacked him away because he was having issues with his own dad. I'm like, what the fuck? Yo.
Goat. Minato equals goat. Every time I see
Kishimoto's
Minato.
head.
Yeah.
I was very, very upset because I'm like, at the end of the day, and I entertain these hypotheticals all the time with Dean, and I'm like, Jiraiya versus Itachi, like, who?
Itachi's gonna win. We know this. We know it's nothing.
Right.
There's no.
All right, what about Itachi versus Minato?
The fourth. Them sealing like the fourth. That's I'm going. I don't know. What about you, Trev?
I'm enjoying this.
Dude,
like
we do this all the time where I'm like, we're literally like grown men arguing, like violently arguing over it. I'm like, nah, you don't know what you're talking about. You know what you're talking about. Like, I've seen every filler episode.
Yeah, sure. What's up?
And this is something that I was super into for a long time, and I still love deeply. And I'm only not caught up on right now because life has gotten in the way of me being up to date. How are y'all? What are your feelings on One Piece?
All right. So me with One Piece, I was into One Piece originally, and then I got away from it just because it was like I just couldn't catch it at that time. Me and Luffy, we got a love-hate relationship. It's like it's like I get it, like you're big, like it's weird, like even the power dynamics to me, like how they do the whole thing. I'm just like.
It will hit so hard, and then there'll be such a lull, and I'll be like, oh, okay. Then it'll come back real ferocious. You'll be like, this is amazing. This is fantastic. The whole don't
reveal it.
Everything, specifically the whole fight with going to get Ace out of prison to end Ace's execution. Was one of the strongest storylines I've ever seen played out in anything. And I was like, this was so well earned and well done. And I felt they stumbled after that, and they didn't catch back up again until they did the time jump. And then the time jump helped.
I'm a little bit of a novice with it. I know the characters, I know the kind of plot, but I've like fallen in and out of love with it, you know? So I'm like, now I'm kind of like, I'm trying to watch it for the first time, but it's like, I'm also got that point where you're at Naruto, you're like, I don't want any other fucking filler. So I want like a checklist, like how they did with Naruto when they had a checklist. You're like, skip this one, and then get to this one. So I want to get straight to the action. That's all I want to see. I don't want to see no.
I'm with you.
You know, I don't want to hear that. We get it.
I appreciate the lack of filler with these non-jump comic based stories, and that they tend to be a little leaner. I appreciate that they're going for more impact with seasons as opposed to just stretching. Like that the whole art form has continued to evolve, and as it should. And so I'm
there's animes about anything, bro. Animes about sports. Animes about cooking.
Have y'all seen Baki on Netflix?
No. I have not seen Baki yet. I heard season 3 is crazy. I heard season 3 is out of this world.
So, you gotta check out Baki, and then there's this other one. Oh man, I can't pronounce the name of it. But it's basically about like literally, it's these fighters, and it's really just about legitimate toxic masculinity in the sense of you just got a whole bunch of motherfuckers wanting to fight for no other reason than just wanting to fight, and they acknowledge that. They're just like, we're just here. No, but it's just like you got somebody's out there beating women. Like it's a whole fucking show about just nonsense. Yeah, no. But they're in this like fight to the death tournaments. But then they're paid off by corporations because corporations used to do this old, I guess they call it like this old Chinese way of vendors, handling their problems.
What is this one? That's
Kenshin.
not Baki.
No, that's not Baki. What the fuck? Oh, damn it. Oh, I don't.
Text
I'll take. Yeah. I'm gonna text you at the. Yeah. I got you. That shit's fucking lit.
Okay, so how y'all feel about one of the new ones coming up is My Hero. Sorry, I kind of blanked.
Hero Academia.
I haven't started it. I know. I have not started it yet. I have not started. I 100% know. It is top of the list.
What have you been doing?
In lockdown. I've been
grown.
sitting in lockdown for 13, 14 weeks, and I still haven't started it. But that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. But it is. My Hero was absolutely top of the list. That is like.
Okay, what about One Punch Man?
One Punch Man. I have not done the second season yet.
Oh,
where is the second season at? Is it on Crunchyroll?
It's up.
It's gotta be.
See what happened. Here's what happened with.
It's not on Netflix.
It's not on Netflix because it never really ended per se. You know how when a season ends and they'll put the next season on Netflix. You know, when let's say if it was season 3, they'll put season 2 on Netflix. But season 2 never really ended. It kind of just like they were coming out with episodes like weekly, and then it just stopped for like 6 months. Like to this day, we're still in season 2, and I've been like, where is it? Like why? And it ended on like an awesome ass part. Like you're like you watch it, you're like okay, the next season's about to be lit. It's about to be some toxin. And then next season never comes. The next episode never comes. So you're like, what happened? Ooh. I looked it up, and apparently they've been working on a video game for the last 2 years. So they stopped production to work on the video game. The video game is not going to have season 2 characters in it. I don't know why they would do that.
I hate it here.
I don't know why they would do that. I don't know why they would do that. So then they left.
Listen. My
My Hero did the same thing. Just stopped. In the middle of season 4, just stopped. And I'm just like, and this is way before, like, let's say, we were quarantined, March? This is like January, December. Like, just stopped. Wow. I'm just like, how?
Because like One Piece has stopped, but they're like, it's because of the virus and the lockdown. Like, that's why One Piece has stopped. Like, they're like, hey, there's no more episodes coming out for we're not sure how long.
They also got 900 episodes.
The manga stopped as well. That's true. They got enough. They got enough reruns. They can keep it going. Get that syndication.
900 episodes? I mean, come on.
Like, they've got but the manga stopped as well. Like, they're like, hey, everything's halted for the foreseeable. But that's frustrating. I mean, I'm going to watch whatever exists of One Punch Man.
I mean, now's a good point now because now you can catch up. And now
season one of One Punch Man was the most I think I've ever enjoyed. Just pure enjoyment of watching something, because where you're like, this is so much fun, and it's so self-aware. It's so self-aware that I'm like, this is brilliance on a whole nother. It is. Were y'all into the Venture Brothers?
Yes. Oh my God.
One Punch Man is to anime. One Punch Man is to anime what the Venture Brothers was to like 90s action cartoons, where it's like we are highly knowledgeable, and we have.
Let me get my Jamie on to look up the Venture Brothers.
They hold. Oh yes. They hold everything in esteem. Like, they don't make fun of any of the things that they're referencing, but they are also at the same time referencing how ridiculous some of the shit was. And it's like, Venture Brothers did that so well for so long. And that's what One Punch Man does with like the whole anime catalog. They're like, let's pull back to everything and like look at what the essence of the things that have made this work for all these years. And let's joke about it, but let's also treat it with like their sacred texts. And that's what makes it so good.
Yeah. So no, I fuck with One Punch Man. It's Venture Brothers too.
Venture Brothers, go Team Venture.
Yeah.
So I did look up Venture Brothers. It's the one that started in 2003, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. It was all right. Yeah.
So,
this looks
still an adult film. You can still watch it.
Yeah. I'm about to say it's go 2003 until. So
what's
still going on.
What's the bodyguard's name? Brock
Sampson.
Yeah, Brock Sampson is a absolute menace.
Like,
menace.
Okay, just
and then the Monarch.
Season, I think the Monarch. I think it's the first episode in the first season where they go to Tijuana, and Brock Sampson is in a poker game and goes wild. This is your Dean. This is your homework.
I got you. Yeah. This is what I got to do. I'm typing it actually right now.
It references everything. It references a lot of the Hanna-Barbera stuff. So like, because it was under, it's under that window. but it
son.
also goes deep on like G.I. Joe and like just it's that 90s action aesthetic, that Johnny Quest, but like taken and spun in the sense
Yeah.
No, it definitely is
One
the
Punch
Johnny
Man.
Quest. It is definitely Johnny
Just
Quest with the
ridiculousness.
boys. Yeah.
See, I'm with the shits on that.
So speaking of Hanna-Barbera, you flash me back to when I was a young pup, man, and I used to watch nothing but Hanna-Barbera, like nothing.
It was my favorite.
So, like,
I loved Looney Tunes, but I fucked with Hanna-Barbera more. Like Hanna-Barbera.
I like
was my...
and not only Hanna-Barbera, but the exclusives on Hanna-Barbera that not everybody knows. Like everybody knows Flintstones and all that other shit, but I like the other undercover stuff like Hong Kong Phooey or the Humanoids or Hong Kong Phooey is my favorite show.
Hong Kong Phooey was amazing.
The Humanoids,
I still deeply love Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
Like
Scooby-Doo.
Yo,
The original.
Scooby-Doo hits
The
on a whole
original.
nother.
The original.
Yeah,
The
the
original.
original one.
And
It
the
hits on a
original
whole
one
nother
is
plane
so
right now,
weird.
son.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, Droopy Dog was probably my favorite Hanna-Barbera.
Droopy Dog.
Droopy was my favorite.
Was Two Stupid
Yo,
Dogs?
wasn't he a sheriff too?
Yes.
Yeah, he was.
Yes, he was. That whole
Droopy Dog?
listen, because Droopy put no effort into anything. Like Droopy
No.
was giving
guess so.
millennial fire before millennials were a thing.
Yeah.
Like, but it was like that's his whole aesthetic that he puts forward.
Didn't even try,
He
bro.
gave zero shits. He's not going to try. It's going to get done, but he's not going to put the effort into it. And he's also going to look miserable and complain while he does it. And it's like, listen to me. Droopy was everything.
That reminds me of Secret Squirrel.
Secret Squirrel.
Wasn't that little yo?
He had a little top hat,
And then he used yo.
Morocco the Mole.
Morocco the Mole rolled with him.
Yo.
Glasses.
Yeah. Those are the classes,
shit.
bro.
You are bringing me back.
Because this is all I used to do.
With Adult Swim, did you watch Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law?
Yes.
Because that was my favorite thing. Is he was always defending the old Hanna-Barbera characters.
Yeah, exactly.
So like they would all get slipped in there. Oh.
And then that brought me back to like Space Ghost because
Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
Yeah, it was like
Space Ghost Coast to Coast, which was like Adult Swim before Adult Swim was Adult Swim. They were doing those old Space Ghost Coast to Coast episodes.
Yeah, that was Toonami. Toonami helped us out. Appreciate you, Toonami. Shout out to Toonami.
Yo, Toonami.
So speaking of Toonami, I'm gonna grab something.
Go right ahead.
So when
you don't have the original Tom, do you?
When I was on tour in the U.S. with Aladdin, we went through Atlanta, and somebody on the crew, they were like, "Oh, what do you want to do in your Atlanta?" I was like, "Oh, well, we're here." Like, I was like, honestly, the dream for me would be to visit Adult Swim and Cartoon Network. And like somebody on the show was like, actually, I did a press thing, and so one of the people that was working the press thing, she was like, "Hey, actually," she's like, "I have a contact at Cartoon Network and Adult Swim. Would you want to like go do a tour?" And I was like, "What?" So like we went through and they took me, like, it was wonderful. First of all, it was wonderful. We went to Cartoon Network first, went through like all the stuff, went through everything, went through like all the different floors. They're like, yeah, a lot of the animation doesn't happen here anymore. Most of it happens in California now, but like went through like writing rooms, like all this stuff. Like there's stuff everywhere, there's swag everywhere. Then we went over to Adult Swim and I genuinely had the best time of my life. It was incredible. They had a giant Black Dynamite hair pick. Like a giant one. And I've never wanted to just take something so badly in my life. But they gave me a bunch of swag, and one of the things they gave me.
Oh, you got the Toonami too!
It is Tom. I'm about to say that that's the original Tom. Welcome.
Yeah.
Yo, respect.
Coming up next is Dragon Ball Z.
Yo, son, that was the dude. Used to be the spaceship going all over the place doing what he do.
Yeah.
Yo, that was the illest, bro.
Yeah.
Yo, son.
So like that.
I have the biggest urge to eat Chinese food now.
What? Where was the relevance there?
Because like when I was watching Toonami, I'd always have Chinese food like on Friday night. I can just remember vividly. Friday nights or Saturday nights in the weekend, eat Chinese food, just sitting there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, son.
Overreach. That was a reach.
Listen, Los.
Cartoon
Fuck off,
Network.
right?
Cartoon
Cartoon
Network
Network.
was one for me.
So you're more of a Cartoon Network guy than a Nickelodeon guy, huh?
I mean, don't get it twisted.
I'm about to say,
don't get it
there we
twisted.
go.
Because when it comes down to, I was born in 1982, so the 90s were like, I was of the age to appreciate the things in the 90s. So like, it wasn't like, because a lot of the times when you're, for the kids that were born in the 90s, they missed some of the nuance of some of the things. So like, my hardest hitters were Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That was my number one. Still to this day, that original series.
All 80 kids, I get that, yeah.
That original movie is so good and holds up today. Listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. If any of you have not watched the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, do it. Stop messing around. Elias Koteas as Casey Jones is the greatest thing you're ever going to see. That movie's perfect. Raphael said "damn" twice, and I remember in the theater. I was like, "Oh!" He said "damn" twice in the movie. That movie's perfect. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was my absolute favorite. With very close behind that, pushing further into the 90s, was Ren and Stimpy was my favorite cartoon.
Oh God.
Yo, Ren and Stimpy Ren and Stimpy is a completely different cartoon. So like, obviously,
they're also on my desk. Like,
you got Ren and Stimpy there? Respect
to
it.
Even,
Respect.
I don't even know if that was a cartoon, bro.
Yo, like
to me.
That shit was an animated show for adults.
Because that's how it started. It started on MTV, and then it got shifted over because they're like, this doesn't quite fit in with the Beavis and Butthead aesthetic that was like being presented by MTV at the time. And I loved Beavis and Butthead, but Ren and Stimpy was a little more kid-friendly, even though that's not how it was designed to be initially. So it ended up sliding over to Nickelodeon, and it slid into Snick, the Saturday night Nickelodeon. So like the whole thing with Snick was stuff that was aimed at slightly older kids. So like, these aren't shows for like little kids. These are for slightly older kids. So you had initially Roundhouse, which is a sketch comedy show on Nickelodeon that was amazing. Predates all that. Later, all that ended up coming into that slot. Hold on. I'm going to look up the original Snick lineup.
I got you. Don't even worry about it.
Okay. Because that, Ren and Stimpy was in there with that as well. Are You Afraid of the Dark? In there, but it was all stuff that was aimed at slightly older kids. So it was like, hey, these things are a little weird. The sense of humor is a little off. But Ren and Stimpy is
all right. So you want to know the original Snick lineup? Yeah. So I have. Oh, Clarissa Explains It All.
Yes. Clarissa Explains It All with the fucking markers. And, my God.
You got Roundhouse, Ren and Stimpy, and then Are You Afraid of the Dark? This was from 92 to 93. And then in 93,
I was 10. So I was 10. So I was like, I was at that age where you get obsessed with things. You're no longer just like, oh, you'll watch whatever. It's like, oh, this is me. This is my aesthetic. Ren and Stimpy is like, if anyone's ever confused about my sense of humor, it's that. If they watch Ren and Stimpy, it's like, oh, okay, I get it. It's just this. It's just this all the time. It's real like old school show business, but also super gross at the same time. It's that like weird balance is where my brain is operating.
That's actually how we even started. Like, that's even how we started talking, because you had, and not that we talk all the time, but like, you know, the few messages that we sit back and forth, because you had a AMA up. And then you just said, ask me anything. And then I was just going through, and then I don't know, something like, it's going through like, because I was following you for a while and like, you know, your music and stuff. And I was like, I feel as if me and this dude would actually like, we kind of like on like the same vibe. So I was like, yo, how dark is your sense of humor? You were like, as black as my skin. And then I was like, that was fucking funny. Yo, I was like, it's lit.
You don't say.
We've been cool since.
Ever since then, son.
Because I didn't respond to it on my Instagram. I just messaged back.
Hey, this is what it is. Like, and I was always, you know, listen, I always appreciated it. And actually, something else too, we have definitely give you your shout out for this one. You were actually our first celebrity follow that stuck with us, because we had a few of you. We had an NBA player. I ain't gonna say who it is. He came on the scene, and then you just left us. We don't know why. But Trevor stuck with us, y'all.
Fair
We appreciate you, Trevor.
Because I
we need more of those blue checks, boy. We need the blue checks.
I have no blue check.
Okay, well you're on.
Listen, to us, you are.
are.
Listen, you're blue check to us. We got that. I was like, yo, Los.
But no, because since then I've dug what y'all have been doing, and so I've been like, yeah, I'll stick on board. So
we appreciate that. We appreciate that.
Love. Now even more so because now we are anime and cartoons have ideals are in line. You're like, oh, now I really fuck with this guy.
We really dove down. I like how we were like, okay, Disney fans, bye, but cartoon fans, here we go.
Buckle up.
It's just, but we really spun out of control there. That was a lot.
Listen, that's fine though. Listen, that's what it's about.
That's what we do. I make this
those
joke.
90s cartoons though. I still watch everything. So like Disney Plus has given me X-Men the animated series, which I've now been able to just rewatch all the way through. Goof Troop, which I was obsessed with. Again, I'm now able to just watch all the way through. The first thing I watched, because Disney Plus rolled out here late. It rolled out here a couple months later than it did in the US. The first thing I put on Disney Plus after I activated my account was Chippendale's Rescue Rangers. It's the very first thing I watched.
Chippendale.
Followed by Darkwing Duck.
Darkwing Duck.
Because this was everything. This was
classic.
everything. I haven't touched Gummy Bears yet. That's going to be a whole nother nostalgic deep dive. I haven't touched the Spider-Man animated series yet because that's another.
Man.
Yo, you
Spider-Man.
have
recorded by The Edge from U2 did that theme song for the
really
series. Yeah.
Oh.
You know, the whole thing, I'm loving this whole nostalgic bring back to the 90s.
No, that's not true. That's not true. I lied. No, because the Edge and Bono did the Spider-Man musical. That is oh shit, what's his first name? Perry from Aerosmith.
Wayne Perry.
No.
Aerosmith. So we have
Bon Jovi,
Joe Perry.
Joe Perry from Aerosmith did the theme song for Spider-Man the Animated
Series. Spider-Man. Can we talk about
with that vocoder?
Yeah, can we talk about how the Hobgoblin used to wear, or the Goblin used to wear the little hair net, but yet Harry Osborn was the one with the waves? Can we talk about that?
Listen, no, they both had the waves, but Harry's were like. Harry was mixed race, and that's why we never saw his mom. Like, because Harry's waves were like the dream. We're like,
bro,
ooh, Harry,
what you got going on over there, player?
Norman had that little bit, but Harry was like, it looked great.
I'm like, what does he do? Is that Murray's?
Oh shit!
Harry be sleeping with that do-rag on. Like he's like, no, I'll just sleep with it. It's cool. It's cool.
The silk bonnet. That's what he calls
it. Oh, the bong is nowhere to be found.
Oh, what was I gonna say?
Looking for the bong.
So I was gonna bring up some of the old classic cartoons that we had that I really appreciate.
Hold on. Before you do that, we have to call this bullshit out that they've been doing. Listen, if you're gonna go back to the '90s styles cartoons, I'm cool with you. I don't got no problem with that. But here's my motherfucking issue.
You talking about Thundercats?
No, I'm going to the animation. When I look at Hey Arnold's animation, or when they brought back the Rugrats, and I look at that animation, what the fuck are y'all doing? What are you doing? When I look at the Wild Thornberrys, and leave the animation alone. Go back to I don't know what you did, erase it. Like it isn't. It was like that time when y'all tried to change Barney up. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Well, it's that the aesthetic.
Shout out to all the Barney fans. Yeah, I'm a real one.
Yeah,
my son BJ. My son BJ.
Baby Bop Gang. Baby Bop Gang.
And I'm like, how are they related? What kind of dinosaur is she? Because he's a Triceratops.
Baby Bop was a Triceratops.
No, BJ was a Triceratops.
I don't know what she was.
BJ was a Triceratops. What was Baby Bop?
She was like a Stegosaurus, some shit. I'm like,
Baby Bop.
Baby Bop.
Hold on, you know what? Let's find out what Baby Bop was.
We're going to find out what Baby Bop was.
I bet she's like a Stegosaurus or something.
Hashtag Baby Bop Gang.
So it says that
Baby
Bop
Little fucking blankie.
Okay, well, what kind of dinosaur are you, Baby Bob? She doesn't have one. Oh, no, she's a Triceratops.
She's not a Triceratops. She can't be.
Hey, according to Barney.fandom.com, she's a Triceratops. I told you I'm getting my Jamie on today.
Baby Bob had the horns.
Yeah, but not like the three, like Triceratops, like, way before time.
You know what? Hold on. Give me a second.
Oh, because she had like that big fan.
Yeah, she has that big fan in the back. Los, if you give, actually, yeah, we don't got to do that. We'll talk about that stuff later. Integrate it into the show.
Yeah, where BJ clearly had the horn like on the tip of his nose.
Yeah, hers is a little more wide.
Baby Bob just had those like large nigga nostrils.
That's what
they're just like boom, like
we're right here.
Like everybody has that one uncle where you're like, ooh, he breathing real deep. Like that was Baby Bob's.
You know what? I have a question because you come from the South. Now I know you come from Morgantown, West Virginia.
Technically, West Virginia is not part of the South. Now, let me deep dive here for a second. So,
okay, go ahead. Now.
Growing up,
go Mountaineers.
Growing up, there tends to be go Mountaineers. Absolutely, there tends to be a lot of spillover. Like growing up, there's a lot of spillover Southern pride, and like we would see a lot of Confederate flags and stuff, and like people would fly that on their trucks and like in their houses and stuff. Now, mind you, West Virginia is West Virginia, and it's not part of Virginia because during the Civil War, West Virginia rolled with the North. They did not roll with the Confederacy. So it was always fascinating to me growing up that the image of it has carried as this Southern existence when, and I mean, it usually ends up swaying red as well as a red state, but in its birth, it was attached to the North.
Oh shit! Well, look at that.
Now, mind you, this is also with Abraham Lincoln, who was a Republican president, and the Republican president is who emancipated the slaves, but the conservative mindset wasn't attached to the Republican Party at the time. So when you get those Republican loyalists, they don't necessarily. It doesn't always translate.
It's not the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah, not to today. It's a completely different party. It's basically the parties have flipped. But honestly, for us Black people, we all should know this. Both parties really ain't shit. We really need to start understanding and wielding the power of our vote and really starting at the local level, bringing it up. Listen, you got to start at the local level. You got to bring it up. You go to your county level. Then after that, you're going to go to your state level. Then you're going to talk about your federal level. You know what I mean? That's what we have to
rebuild at this point. We have to rebuild at this point. And like, that's only going to happen starting low and working our way back up.
Right. Absolutely.
I mean, we did have the man sitting in the White House right now who did have in Tulsa on Juneteenth is going to had a very poorly attended conservative.
Well, no, he did because we don't want anybody to try to go crazy in comments. We understand that he did move it. He moved it to the next. I think they had it on the 20th, so he had it one day later. But he didn't hold it on Juneteenth. But he was going to.
He was
definitely going to.
They leaned into that for a minute. They leaned into that for a minute.
Did you see his recent tweet when he just said, "I've made Juneteenth famous," and it was like, bruh.
Listen, I seen the arenas, right? And Ice Cube was like, "We had more people there for a Big 3 game." I was like, "Oh shit, Q."
Well, supposedly, there was a large, young, and this is what it comes down to. It comes down to the youth pushing for change, and there was a large youth population who were booking out seats. Supposedly, I don't know if this is confirmed or not. Who were booking out seats, and BTS K-pop fans who booked out seats online, so it looked like it was sold better than it was. So then when he rolled out there, he's like, "Yeah, where the fuck is everybody?" Like, there's nobody there, which is what Didn't 50 Cent do that to
Ja Rule? Yes, yo, son. What was it? Did he buy the first 3 rows or the first 4 rows?
I think he bought like 300 seats. He bought or something like that.
Yo, the pettiness of like I saw
50 posted something today about Ja Rule. Just want to let y'all know he posted something today about.
He posted
50
don't never
about him.
Listen, he
never
needs to
fucking
leave Ja alone.
Ja's
done.
There was a video.
Ja's done.
There was a video of Ja being at a house party, performing at a house party with like 15 people there. And 50 posted it today. He was like, "Listen, I'll never be at this point ever in my life."
Yeah.
Bro,
no.
It was
he's
bad,
performing in front of 15. Well, time out. All right. But here's the question. Well, hold on. But I have one question. If it was 15 people, was this like? Did they have like a lot of money and then they paid him a stupid amount of money to play? Because then if that's the case, can you really blame him for that? Or like Fry Fest showed
only
us,
15 people wanted to see him.
And there was like
house.
Half
it was probably
a
college. It was probably a college, a sorority who did it. They probably put together like $5,000, and then
nobody knew who he was.
Yeah. No. There was some girls singing. Of course, they were singing his Shanti and Ja Rule songs. It wasn't just Ja, but you know. So
it's like who's singing the J-Lo parts? Who's singing the J-Lo parts for Ja?
Right.
So he can act like his hits were only his own.
It was bad.
What pisses me off is like everybody's shitting on Ja now, and I was like, I was talking shit on this man in 2002 when I was like, listen, I don't think he's very good, but he's everywhere. I'm like, I don't think he's very good, but y'all are rolling with him.
John should have known better though. John should have known better though. He should have known leave 50 alone. He
should have known better with that whole Fire Festival thing.
Yo,
because that.
Are you guys ready?
Did you see the food? Did you see the food that he gave them? Yo, he gave them Salvation Army school lunch. Like that's what he gave them. Like you saw. Like you saw it. Listen, I can say that because I went to the Salvation Army like summer camp one year. I remember because my cousin was working there, so my mother was like sitting me on there too. Like she was like, "Hey, can he go there too?" Whatever the case may be. I remember how those fucking school lunches were. The shit used to come.
And that's what
he served those people.
God damn it, Josh.
Murder ain't my ass.
So I'm thinking like he can't be this broke. It's not because he's broke. Like, what is the problem?
He can be that broke.
Oh yeah, maybe he can be that broke.
Listen,
or maybe he's just that cheap. He's like, you know what, we can get away with it because remember he's still hood. So like he may not have ever changed.
Trying to reemerge, and I cannot shit on Ja's hustle. I cannot shit on his hustle.
Oh no, I'm not shit on the hustle.
Trying.
He'll never reemerge.
Wait, no, time out. Can we say he's genuinely trying? When you feeding people prison food at Fry Fest that you know.
This is Ja's reemergence, and this is 50 Cent's shoe.
Yeah. Oh, 50's like no. Say that.
It'll never happen.
Because here's the thing, and it's difficult. I'm sure and many of us will never know the struggle of popping in relevance and in fame and getting so white hot, and then having to maintain that. And so few were able to maintain that, and that's real. That's just the nature of the entertainment industry. And it's like, how do you stay relevant? How do you stay creating things that people are constantly, it's such a small few that are able to have careers that span, like for Ja, that's 20 years ago, like when he was at that highlight. So like, yeah, of course he's gonna fall off. And so it's a rare talented few that are able to like weather that storm and stay relevant, especially in the music industry.
Yeah, but you know what though? But here's the thing though. It's like, yes, stay relevant, but it's stay relevant. Like, yeah, he's gonna fall off. Excuse me, it's falling off, but you got to fall off a class. Like he had no class in this fall off. You see what I'm saying? No, it is because if you think about it, first of all.
Name one person.
The OJs are still performing, baby. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you can still no. But hear me out though. You still got listen. They may be there. You know, it may be teeter-tottering now, but a few years ago they were still performing. Could they still do and hit them same notes? No. but their people are still going out there giving them their respect. Excuse me, they may be able to hit some of them notes, but them dance moves, they may not be able to give you all that. But you still have people going out there to see it.
Boys to Men are still performing.
It's only 3 guys though, right?
There's only 3 of them now.
I'm about to say they lost a member.
And it's men to old ass men, but they are still going. And they still draw though. Like they could still do well.
The Isley Brothers were still going a few years ago. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Like it's just keeping.
Oz is a legendary. Okay.
No, but listen, Ja has a catalog that if he would have kept his shit correct,
does he?
Not a single.
He can still perform it.
He needs somebody to sing the hook on everything.
Yeah. He doesn't have anything by himself.
He can just put it. Just play it. Listen. All you can do is, listen, crowd. I need y'all to go ahead and do this part, and we're gonna have a hell of a time. All right, word up.
Are you ready? Did you see when he went to perform at the Milwaukee Bucks stadium? He's like, "Are you ready?" And nobody said anything. He goes, "Guess not."
John.
At halftime. Now imagine a basketball game. It's packed. It's like 2 years ago. Oh, you ready?
Like, no,
I was chilling.
He's like, guess not.
You know what? All right. You know what would be hilarious? Imagine if Ja, like once quarantine is lifted and everybody's ran to go and it's safe and all that kind of good stuff. He tries to put on a concert, right? And no one still goes. Like fresh off of being off the
He'll get a couple of people because 50 will buy a couple of seats. So he'll get some people.
How disrespectful is that you have to know your enemy is paying you just because he thinks it's funny? Like,
just to watch you come out and be like, oh.
And he's okay with paying you. That's how little he thinks of you. He's like, I'm gonna help you pay your bills.
That's why he's
undefeated. Ja felt that in his heart too when he walked out there. It was like, because he had to have been backstage and seen it. Like he's backstage waiting to go out. Like he looks at it, he's like, how's the crowd look? Good. You got to be fucking kidding me. Like just seeing 50 sitting there
also
with empty seats around him.
Who's opening for Ja? That's the problem. Who's opening for Ja?
Who does open for Ja? That's a question. Yeah. Because Ja is like, who's opening for Ja?
I mean, granted, is it better than anybody, being off the street opening for Ja? Yeah, of course.
Exactly, absolutely. Take the opportunity. If the brass ring is dangling in front of you, take every chance to grab it.
He's at the brass ring, respect it.
But just know, I've been big man too. Lurk it, right? 50, you see my belt behind me.
Yeah, we're going to get there. Listen, we're going to Joe Rogan this shit. We're going to be, as long as you, listen, we're going to be here as long as you want to be here. We just going Joe Rogan this whole shit.
I'm good.
All right, let's have some fun.
So we want to get into his music now? I mean, I figure we could probably hit that, right?
Yeah. Let's get into his music, and then after that, we're gonna skirt back off into fuckery land. All right, but we definitely still want to cover, who you are. But we're definitely gonna get back into all this other stuff. So, all right. So first off, for people, we have to talk about this before we get into his music. I have to talk about his transition artistically from being this robust, wild, crazy Genie to now playing George motherfucking Washington in Hamilton. How can you how does that go artistically for you? Like where do you have to go, for those, to get to those places, I guess?
It's phenomenal. Hamilton has been a phenomenal opportunity, and it's something I've been proud to do. And since I saw it, I was like, ooh, I want to play George Washington, because for me, that was the character that I always resonated with and one I connected with, and the one that I had the most excitement for with what he does in the show. And I was like, this is good. I want to be a part of this. I want to push myself for that, because the show very much operates in its own language. And almost in its own existence. It's this bubble of it's almost like learning a new language and learning the show. It's not just being able to sing and rap the show. It's being able to sing, rap the show, tell the story, and have all of these nuances and all of this subtext built into everything, but never letting that all labor you down. And so that was a new learning curve, which was exciting because I got to push myself in a different way, and I got to expand myself as an actor. and I got to like really like put the like school level effort in again and be like, let me relearn, let me teach myself to walk again. But it's not just me. I've got this awesome creative team pulling me along the whole way. So like that aspect of it is phenomenal. Then you have the idea that this is a global phenomenon that is recognized on a level of like Mickey Mouse and Coca-Cola. That logo, it's like, oh, that's Hamilton. Even if people haven't seen it, and that number is going to go up with Disney Plus again. That number, the number of people who will see it in a couple of weeks is going to spike and go up. But you had this thing that is so, it's unique because it's not popular just because it's popular. It's popular because it's really, really good. And that doesn't happen a lot. A lot of the times things that get to that level, they get there because they're able to catch the trending wind and they're able to roll through that way. But this, you have something that has gotten so massive because of the quality of it. And that is, one, that's a testament to the entertainment industry as it is now, where it's, I feel like we're back to a point where talent lets you excel past just the image of something. Not always, but when you have these exceptional talents, when you get people like Anderson .Paak and you watch them blow up, and it's like they're blowing up because they're incredibly talented. When you watch Chance, the rapper, and you watch this ascension, it's like that's because he's doing something at a level that other people cannot attain. Other people can't do this. Even with Billie Eilish, when you're like, oh, this is something that's so unique and so good. You can't fault the technique and the actual execution of it. So you're like, Hamilton operates in that space, in that global space of like, here's something so good. People are attaching onto it in a way where it's the fanatic side of fandom. And so it's exciting to get to be part of that. Now, with all that said, I haven't done the show in 3 months now.
Goddamn China.
I got to do, let me think, November, December, January, February, March. I got to do it for 5 months, and we've been shut down since. So it's been months, and I haven't got to do it. And it's a big question mark of when we all get to do it again. And that is frustrating because it feels like, okay, I just got to begin to really wrap my head and sink my teeth into this new thing and really start making it feel like I'm owning it and not just getting through it. Because this is a show that, like, and anybody who's done the show can attest to, you don't feel like you own it until you get the reps in. And so like, it's that repetition of it and doing it over and over again where you're like, okay, I know what this is. I know what this is now. Now I can really grab it, as opposed to just like, let me make sure I get to the end. Because it's a lot, like the show's a lot. So it's frustrating that like when I'm finally like really hitting that stride and really like getting into the jog of it, not just, going from a gentle jog into a full on run, that then it's like the race stops and like everybody go home. And we don't
now you have to learn how to run again at home.
Yes.
So then when you come back, you got to hit the ground running.
What the hell it's going to be back? And that's what's scary about it right now, because it's like, as much as I love it and as much as I feel like I learned and expanded myself as an artist with it and because of it, I now have to find out where that fits into a new world.
This whole COVID thing is odd because it's like, it's making everybody have to stretch their rings in different ways. But as you said, when the new normal comes back in, what is that? Like, for instance, like I know some places in the States, their states are going full on blast. You know, me and Los are both in New York. We're in different parts. So like the part that I'm in, we're in phase 3. We've been in phase 3 for like a week now. And I believe next week will be phase 4. Where Los is at, what are y'all entering? Phase
We're still
2?
in phase 2.
They're still phase 2. So, but then you got like Texas, they don't give a fuck.
Pull back to Florida. Talking about Florida, man. Florida this whole time has been operated like they've operated like there's not not a global pandemic. And then what was it like just a couple of days ago? They're like, oh, hey, there's 400 new cases in Florida. No shit, there's 400 new cases in Florida. It's been operating as if the world wasn't trying to like hold back to slow this down. Listen, so we made a Vince McMahon brass ring reference.
Right.
The WWE did not stop. They did not stop. They've been operating out of Florida.
So can we be honest about something? First of all, let's all be honest here. We all know Vinnie Mac don't give a fuck. And when I'm saying that is like, listen, we should all know what time it was when Owen Hart, he still kept the show going. 9/11 happened. He still kept the show going.
What did you think was going to happen?
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, Vince, listen, you saw Vince. Vince told
This is a fucking Nazi.
Listen, Vince, hey, watch your mouth. Say that now. We're gonna let you slander him like that. Like, all right? Still Vince McMahon playing. Listen, we ain't gonna say that, all right?
He's not perfect, but
he ain't that.
But at least the WWE at least made, even if it was hollow, at least made a Black Lives Matter statement. Which I was like y'all not with the shit. Be quiet. I was like, I don't know if you're with this, but I appreciate your
sentiment.
Your
which is better than some companies.
Which is better than some. Exactly.
Well, you know what they did? They obviously let Kofi and Big E, take their knee, put up their.
Did you see
the Forgotten Sons dude?
No, Keith. Oh, stop! No, I can't get into that. Listen to me.
Yeah, we can go there.
When your tag team partners are like, whoa, all right, brother. like your partners are like, hold up, we're not with this.
Yeah, we don't know what the fuck he talking about, y'all.
So can you elaborate for the non-wrestling fans?
Keith Lee's In Your House outfit had Black Lives Matter across the back and like I was like, I appreciate that they're allowing talent to express openly. On the flip side of that, so there's a group, the Forgotten Sons, and one of them posted something. It was not just like the soft version of it. He posted something in support of the president, in support of the way that the police are handling the protests. But the real dive of it is that he supported violence against protesters, and he has a history of posts. And not that we're spinning. We're spinning.
This is no. This is what this. Listen, don't worry. We'll definitely get back to the music. I said we're going to Joe Rogan this shit. We're going to be here for a while. We chilling.
I truly honestly believe that somebody with a different opinion than mine, we should be able to have a conversation about it.
I agree.
As opposed to just shutting them down and silencing them. Because I think in silencing people who say things that are hurtful, we allow them to martyr themselves by silencing them. So I think the strongest move, as opposed to canceling people based on their words, is to debate them honestly, debate them openly, and hit them with facts. The problem is, as we know, not everybody's listening to facts in 2020, in 2019, in 2018, in 2017, in 2016. Let's be honest, 2016 was kind of the breakdown.
That was
truth, where truth became debatable. And I'm like, I mean, we can debate opinions and the way we feel about these truths, but the truth is supposed to be this thing where we all as humans are operating on and following along with, and everybody's like, this is the tone we go back to that lets us know what's what. And so for the last 4 years, the idea of truth has slipped. But even with that, I do not like the idea of canceling people based on their words. Actions, that's different. Actions is different. If you're genuinely causing harm to someone, be it emotional, physical, or metaphysical in any form, then yeah, you know what? Let's take away your ability to cause harm. But I do not believe, based on words, that we should be canceling people. Now, with that said, this dude from the Forgotten Sons got real racist real quick, and the majority of the people in WWE had shut him down, which again was welcome.
Love when that happens.
Like, this isn't okay. Like,
so, well, for the people who want to know, what he said was, So this was like Trevor said in response to the riots. Excuse me, the protests. Thankful for the POTUS we have. God bless America. Built to freedom. Forgotten no more. And then you just had a host of wrestlers. Like, for instance, you had Keith Lee. Oh, fuck. Where is his tweet? I had everybody else's tweets after his. But Keith Lee said something along the lines of basically saying that, you know, while we live in America, you know, you can say whatever you like. It's really shitty. Excuse me. It's really fucked up how, you know, you're just pushing your shitty ass, you know, wrestling, you know, catchphrase during a time like this. And then you had just everybody else just kind of jumping on him. Yeah. People were not, the other wrestlers were not with the shits. They were like, yo, you can go fuck off. Like Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens goes,
pulls no punches, and I love him for that.
This is a quote. The freedom you speak of entitles you to speak your mind all you want. I'm not here to argue that. I just really need to tell you that I think you pussy your shitty wrestling catchphrases. As all of this is happening, is absolutely fucking pathetic. Good night. This is in direct response to Mr. Riker.
I actually now like Kevin Owens. I didn't like him before, but now I kind of like him now.
I've always banged with Kevin. No. I've always banged with Kevin.
Same. I bang with Kevin the same way I used to bang with Bam Bam Bigelow because I love a big dude who can go. Like when he just goes. Like
I will admit that he can definitely go. He's definitely flexible, and I did not think he was that athletic as what. You know, when I first saw it, I was like, okay, all right.
That's why I love Keith Lee. That's why I love Samoa Joe. When you get those big dudes who just go,
he's
like
not,
high octane.
So what's the deal with Samoa Joe? Wasn't he hurt for a while?
Yeah, supposedly because he's doing commentary right now.
Yeah, Samoa Joe was like, he got hurt or some shit happened with Joe. Unfortunately, he kind of came to WWE a little bit later in his career.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like
when you look at him and Styles, their whole thing, TNA, their whole
TNA was your first. So not for nothing. TNA in what was it like 05 to like 07?
This is when Kurt Angle was there.
Yeah, you had like Kurt there. You had unfortunately you had like Hulk Hogan and their old asses there.
Stop. When they brought that, they killed it. Because that was 2010 when they brought Hogan and Bischoff in. And
were you working down there in Florida?
I was working in Florida at that point. And so, but I was there the night the Kurt Angle premiered. Like I was there in the Impact Zone because they would film at Universal Studios.
Yeah.
So you could just go. You just had to go, wait in line, and then you get in and see the show. And so like I was there the night Kurt Angle premiered. I've been to like a bunch of back then, like that, like 2005 to 2007 period, like around there. I went to a whole bunch of shows, and then like around 2010, they brought Hogan and Bischoff in, and that was a mistake.
Listen, Hogan when you brought in Hogan,
Eric Bischoff,
yeah,
to like GM or like to wrestle,
to like run it,
to like he and Hogan were like running it creatively.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Hulk Hogan I have so many feelings on Hulk Hogan. I can't
Terry?
Yeah, Terry. I can't even get into Terry, his wife.
It's difficult because
his wife said some shit, didn't she, the other day?
Yes, she did. Yeah.
Yes, she did.
His wife ain't shit neither. You know what I'm saying? Her mom should have spit her out.
But it's so weird because it's like when you look at these people that we grew up with as these heroes. Like I was obsessed with Hulk Hogan. Like we all were. Like Hulkamania ran wild in my house like it did in most of the United States.
Right.
And so now, mind you, I preferred Randy Savage, who may he rest in peace, was also very troubled as a human being.
But you mean, what do you mean trouble? Oh, Miss Elizabeth. Oh, but you understand? Oh, Mean Gene. Let me tell you something. Yeah.
I was obsessed. I was obsessed. So it was difficult, especially like if you go like late 90s, NWO and WCW. That was the Hogan that I was older, so I attached onto it differently, and I was like, okay, this is my shit. Hall and Nash and like all of that really spoke to me. So I was like, it's difficult as an adult acknowledging all the flaws in your heroes, and that happens. Right. That happens. That's a natural part of growing up. That's like the point where we start to smell our parents' bullshit, and we start to see through their veil of perfection, and you realize, oh, you don't know what you're doing because I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm a grown-ass adult. You were a grown-ass adult. You're just doing the best you could, but like it takes time to like develop that and to start to see people for their flaws, and then decide which flaws are too much for us to hold on to. And Hulk Hogan's continuous racist flaws are too much for me to hold on to. I can't do it, to the point where he shows up now and I'm like, I can't even be like excited and nostalgic for it anymore. And it's a shame.
I think because his daughter likes black guys.
That's the great thing.
Never forget, if there's any information that came out of that horrible sex tape. It was him talking about his obsession about his daughter dating black guys.
Like, what are you so obsessed about? Like, he was like it was on some real, like, it just reminded you of like some slave owner kind of, like the way he was talking. Like, it was like, if you're gonna come into the bloodline, like it's gotta be like this.
That's how you knew he didn't know he was being recorded, where, okay, justifiably, he should have won that lawsuit because he did not know he was being recorded. At the same time, he said some real fucked up stuff that was real damaging. And like WWE, like they like shifted him over to the side for a while, but they know.
We knew that they were going to come back with him.
Because that's like the poster child of wrestling in the 80s. And so they couldn't not bring that back. But I have not been willing to engage on.
So what sex tape are we talking about?
You never knew about the Hogan
sex tape.
The Hogan, and who was it? Bubba's like, oh fuck, who was the other?
Sponges. Bubba the Love Sponge. Again, this is in Florida. This is in Florida. Because weird. They all lived in like Daytona area. So like this is all in Florida again. In this case, Florida man.
This is the thing that Trevor started.
Hulk Hogan when he was moved Florida man in this case.
So Trevor, if you didn't move to Florida in 2005, that's when it never happened. That's what you're saying.
No, don't put this on me. Don't you put that evil on me.
It definitely still would have happened.
Don't you put that evil on me.
So what if you went to California instead? I'm joking. I'm joking.
I want to know where was he at when that Page sex tape came out?
Yeah,
that's what I want to know.
Which one?
Listen,
what Page came out?
That was messed up too. That was messed up too because people leaking stuff.
The New Day had to. Yo, first of all, okay. So this is a question. All right. So you're a wrestling fan. I gotta ask you, what the fuck do you think Big E and Kofi? What do you think the text message was that they texted Xavier Woods when that shit hit the fan? Like it was bro,
no.
The bag is about to be fucked up. Here's
my issue with it. No, here's my issue with it.
At least it just glossed over.
But they had to, because it's like you cannot shame anyone for something that was private and should never have been released. It should never have been released. And it wasn't, and nobody was doing it. That whole WWE sex tape release, not the Hulk Hogan one. That's a different story. That's a different window. But that whole like leaking of, because it was a bunch. It was Paige. It was Charlotte.
Yeah.
And it's despicable. And it's like, this is
private
lives. There was the pictures of Seth Rollins' penis. Like all this shit just gets leaked.
That one was funny as shit. Like, no, it wasn't funny, but I was like, what the fuck? Like, why are we going for Seth Rollins?
They should have had one on Stratus.
One of these things is not like the other. But the problem was that this is people's private lives, and these are consenting adults all making a decision together, and somebody taking it upon themselves. And like, so it's not even about, because it's like, what was it, last year? Was it last year, that whole OnlyFans leak? And it's like, that shows you this isn't about just seeing the content. It's about taking control away from the people who are having control with their own bodies. And that is despicable and unacceptable.
So,
that's a fact.
So with the Page one, it was Paige, Xavier, and some other dude, right?
Yeah, Brad Maddox.
Brad Maddox, yeah.
And Xavier was recording, or was he participating?
It was both.
I have not seen it.
Oh, I saw it. It was both.
Yeah, I know. I know you've seen it.
I saw the whole thing.
Seems like I got it. I wouldn't do my job.
Watch this. So, but then here's the only thing that I guess the only thing WWE probably said about the whole thing. The only thing I can see WWE saying is that, hey, don't be bringing our belts into your bedroom. Because they done brought the belt into the bedroom. I think it was Brad Maddox skied on the belt. It was wild.
In all fairness, if I'm the champion today, I'm the champion in the bedroom too. So I'm gonna keep my belt. No,
with the belt
it is.
No, but you had to violate it like that though. They had to. That's what I'm saying. Like you just like,
it's his belt.
People gotta wear it. You gotta wear it out.
Supposed to see it.
Don't lose
Nobody
it.
else
Don't
is supposed
lose
to
it.
see that.
I'm just saying, like it just makes you think. Does it make you think sometimes how if you was a wrestler?
They're not checking the belts with the black light. They're good to go.
You're right.
But Dean, I will shame you, and I will shame anybody else who watch those videos because they are not for our viewing.
I'm sorry. What was I supposed to? They came out. I was like, okay, what happened? I saw the link. I was like, let me click it. It was right in wrestling news. I don't know if it was wrestling news, but like
now, what I will say,
those websites.
If you watch the Hulk Hogan video, I can forgive you because
the Hulk Hogan video was like despicably hilarious. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But then it was low key hilarious too because you're just like, wow, Hulk. This is how you live it out here, Hulk.
So, Los, to catch you up on the Hulk Hogan video. So the whole thing was, it was him and Bubba the Love Sponge, who was a DJ in Florida. And I think I'm not sure who the woman was that was involved, but the whole thing was,
I think it was Bubba the Love Sponge's ex-wife or something like that.
Maybe I'm really not sure. The whole thing was
Jamie on.
Bubba was filming Hulk Hogan.
Send me the link.
Don't send me the link. You can't find it now. So, but the whole thing was Hulk Hogan didn't know he was being filmed, and so then when the whole thing exploded online, it exploded through Gawker, the website, and that's why Gawker doesn't exist anymore, because Hulk Hogan Terry Bollea sued Gawker, and it wiped the company out because he was in the right. He's like, I did not know I was being filmed. This happened, and so in that sense, legally, he was right. But he said a lot of real messed up, racist shit in that, where that all came out. It was like, oh, so this is how Terry Bollea feels about Black people. And that felt weirdly,
that was shocking.
It felt weirdly treason-esque because we were like, we're just fans. We're fans of the business. We're fans of the characters that portray. And we know that the people aren't necessarily the characters, but you're fans of them. And so that type of pedestal collapse was really shocking at the time, where it was like, oh, I didn't expect this from Take Your Vitamin, Say Your Prayers. Hulkamania is going to run wild on you unless you're a Black guy dating my daughter, in which case Hulkamania is not with you.
For any of that. So you know what? Since
it's not gonna stop though, because she gonna still be playing with the brothers. I'm telling you right now.
Since we're talking about racism and all that kind of craziness, and ridiculousness that that we all have to face, I do want to ask you, Trevor, how different is the racism in the UK versus to the States?
It is still systematic. There is less transparency with like America, like part of American history is now, mind you, when I was growing up, they glaze over it very quickly, the idea of American slavery and how negatively still currently it's still negatively, like the American slavery still negatively impacts the United States, Blacks in the United States today, based on that, because you have hundreds of years of deep oppression, then a period of segregation, a small civil rights movement, and then everybody's equal.
Okay.
Good luck. Catch up in the race when you started hundreds of laps behind. So
literally,
there's that whole issue. The UK is less transparent in their stories of slavery, their stories of racism. So the history of it is more shrouded. It's not discussed in schools in the same way. It's not educated the same way to the population. So in that sense, with this current movement of this wonderful current push and the spotlight that is on the Black Lives Matter movement and the spotlight that is on centuries of inequality, there is a genuine shock education that's happening for a lot of whites in the UK, where it's like, oh, I genuinely didn't know that these were these issues. I genuinely didn't know that these statues that people are tearing down were slavers and slave traders, and that's why they're tearing it down. So like, in that sense, it can be seen as a positive that there's less knowledge, but at the same time, because there's less knowledge, it's also more dangerous because you don't get the same level of police violence, where there's not as many police deaths in the UK as there are in the US. Part of that is just the approach to firearms with the police force is different. But at the same time, we are still more likely to be profiled. We are still more likely to be have a higher level of aggression and of violence against Black and brown faces and skin. I grew up in West Virginia. I have been called a nigger to my face. I've had a note calling me a nigger tossed to my locker. And where I've never been called a nigger here, it doesn't change the way that you are perceived. It's a much quieter in the gut of your stomach feeling of like where I live, on my block in my street, I'm the only Black family. Like I'm the only one, and that is definitely felt and seen. And like, and it's, everybody will smile and all that. And some know what I do. Some have seen my face around town, but to most of them, I'm just the odd Black face in the neighborhood. On top of that, I'm American. And so
the double whammy.
So it is prevalent. Anybody who says, and they've been trying it lately. They've been trying to push back and say, oh, the UK isn't racist. The UK isn't racist the same way that America is. That's a lie. That's false. And racism is just as prevalent here, just because it looks a little different and it feels a little different, and it's a little less in your face than it can be through the American South. Specifically, does not mean that there's not a deep history of systemic racism, of micro and macro aggressions, and of harmful behavior that leaves us all in an extended state of trauma, which I feel like we're all opening up about now. Like, because we've all been traumatized for our lives. Yeah. Like, I've got 37 years of built up racial trauma. And it's like, okay, if we're all talking about this, then we're all talking about this. And that's where I appreciate all of my brothers and sisters who are willing to have the conversations right now. And it's difficult sometimes because you have whites who are genuinely trying to get information and genuinely trying to help. And then you also have white people who are posing as trying to be an ally, but they want to be an ally visually, and not actually in a way that checks
activist
or adjusts
versus
their
activist
own privilege. That.
Mm-hmm.
So
mm-hmm.
It's difficult. It's difficult and it's exhausting. And I know we're all tired, but I'm so happy that I'm able to, and that we were all able to keep pushing. Because if there's ever a time for us to keep pushing, it's right now, while there ain't shit else going on. Yeah. People are paying attention. Y'all ain't got nothing to do.
Nobody has nothing to do right now.
That brings me to a question. Hold on. That was weird. So that brings my neighbor's doing work. So that brings to a question, like, what is some of the advice you have for people that's going on, seeing this stuff every day, and how do they are able to stay emotionally or mentally somewhat not stable, because it's hard, but like somewhat in tune where they're not super like brittle.
Sustain the push, sustain the drive.
Yeah, and just everyday living, you know.
Yeah. It's difficult. I don't have an answer, because it's going to be different from person to person. For me personally, it has been about using for a lot of us, we learn to play the game. We learn to play the game. We learn to smile when we have to. We learn to accept a certain level of bigotry. We learn to accept a certain number of adjusted opportunities based on the color of our skin. We learn to do that, and we learn to keep driving and keep thriving within that game. We learn to play the game. We learn to put on the smile and to shake the hand when we have to, even though they may have said something that we know was wrong, something that they may have addressed something in a way that we know felt disrespectful and racist. But we've learned to do that. The majority of us have learned to do that because we've watched those of us who don't play the game, we've watched them be stomped out and pushed to the side and replaced. So we, out of fear of maintaining our own trajectory and our own momentum, have learned to play the game. For me, that's what's allowing me to keep pushing, because I'm not willing to play the game anymore. And so I have years of all these things where I felt like I've allowed myself to be pushed back down into place. And I'm not going to do that anymore. And I feel like we're in an environment now where we can push back and we will actually be heard. I'm nervous about the long term of that, but at the same time, I'm going to maintain my honesty and maintain my truth with me, so that I feel like I'm doing everything I can to take the foot off of our people, to take the knee off of the neck.
That was
Preach.
So
that was
angry but
that
eloquent.
just
Stay angry but eloquent.
That was
Like,
that spoke that
That's my mindset, is to stay dangerous.
Like I've posted,
you know what I mean?
I've posted a couple of things the last few weeks, and people have said, "Oh, like very well said and eloquently posed," and I'm like, I appreciate that, but I am angry. I'm angry just because I'm speaking clearly, so everybody can hear me in the back. Doesn't mean it's not coming from a place of visceral disgust and anger of years of oppression.
And we've been saying the same thing.
My mother said to me, because we were talking about it, and she said the thing that's been so disappointing for her is, because my mother is Bermudian, born and raised in Bermuda. She lived segregation, like to full point of like, oh, we have to cross the street because there's colonists.
Right.
There's colonizers walking towards us. Now, mind you, Black Island, who are now segregated and forced into segregation, and they're on their own land. That's a whole other story. But so she grew up with that. And so she grew up pushing back and that against that. And like, she's like, it sucks that she's watching her children have to fight the same fight that she was fighting 50 years ago. And it's like, it's all still now, it's all still today, it's the same battle. It's the same battle. And even though it feels like there's decades between them, and it feels like, yes, there's been steps of progress in between, but progress takes as long as it has to.
Fucking eon.
We ain't there yet.
Fucking eon.
That is go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, to some of my millennial counterparts, this has basically been like our first taste of like civil rights movement. You know what I'm saying? We've done nothing of the sort. We've seen the Arab Spring in our lifetimes, and some of us were born during. We've grown up seeing like,
I
mean, participating, not seeing
protests. Well, no, because I would say the first Black Lives Matter movement, when Trayvon died, when that came on the scene, we got that was our generation. We were out there. You're right. But I would say that is what activated it. This now because of COVID. It's like, listen, it's
made it worldwide though. That's the thing,
Speaking
like
of,
before we did it. It was just, I guess, like it was just Ferguson and other, outdated cities. But now I feel like it across the country in different parts of the world. Like that to me is like
the whole world is galvanizing together. The whole everybody's on the same page because shit else
we
to
have
do.
organizations,
And
even
people
if it's hollow, these organizations are reaching out. People are saying, Juneteenth is a state holiday now. So it's like,
I stand with Nike because they had Kaepernick's back in the beginning. So like even when the NFL threw Colin Kaepernick under the bus, Nike was like, you know what? We're sticking with him.
And we talked about this before.
That was before the current push.
That was a one, good for them on that. Think about their values and just what's right. But then two, we have to, me and Wilson also talked about this. We have to talk about the calculated business move.
Ooh,
you know what I'm saying?
Please, they know.
That it was like, yo,
listen,
you know what I'm saying?
You have videos of people burning their Jordans, and I was like, ooh, you did pay for them. But also, who built Nike into the empire they are today?
Black
Whose
people.
money built Nike into that? Black
They know.
people did.
They know
because
what it is.
when they started rolling out those Jordans was the thing where it was like all of a sudden Nike became the premier brand. They had a dark black Michael Jordan, bam, on everything. And you had every black kid, I want to be like Mike.
Literally.
So Nike knows where that dragon
core
knows
demographic
where its pile of gold came from. That dragon knows, and they're not trying to like mess with that. So like it is, I appreciate that they had his back. I see what it is, but I also appreciate that like I still see you, but like I appreciate.
But we hear what it is. We hear what you're saying.
But like so you said because with this generation pushing, yes, with Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman murdering this kid. And
then Michael Brown happened. What was it, like a week or two later or something around there? Yeah.
But let me ask you this. In what state did George Zimmerman shoot and kill Trayvon Martin?
Fucking Florida.
Fucking
Florida. Yo, this is, but then you know what though? So
listen, I have love for the state of Florida. I have friends who still live there. I have love for you, but there's something in that swampland where just like,
keep shitting on them.
No, it's like there's somebody's allowing like the gators to come out of the swamp, put on human suits and like do shit, and then they like scurry back to the swamp and just leave like the people baffled as to what's occurred.
And then, but then you know what was crazy about the whole thing? Because you had that case going on, but then you had Cynthia Brown, who all she did was shoot a gun in the air to stop a husband who's been kicking the shit out of her for years. And it's even documented by the police. And then she was going to her first trial, she was found guilty. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
Florida is fucking amazing and not in the good way.
But the whole country prosecutes black faces like the system has been built to prosecute black faces, which is because
we know what it is. Yeah,
it is based on a history of maintaining supremacy. Like that's where it's based. So if you want to fix it, we got to rework it. Ugh.
That's
I suggest that we lighten it up and kind of, we can go down the rabbit hole forever.
Yeah, that's definitely a dark. That's definitely because the whole system does need to go away, especially when you think about even when you have the conversation to defund the police. But we'll skirt off that.
Listen,
I literally skirt off it, and he goes, you know what?
Yeah, go ahead, Trav. Go ahead, player.
What kills me is people who don't understand why we need to defund the police. People who don't understand that you have cities where so much money is going to this one area. And the idea of nobody's saying eliminate the police. I can't say nobody's saying that. Most of us aren't.
Most people are not saying eliminate the police.
We're saying they don't need these bloated budgets that allow them to run roughshod over cities like it's the Wild fucking West. That's what we're saying. What we're saying is all these other exactly. What we're saying is the majority of things that police end up dealing with would be better handled by care workers or social workers. Things having to do with poverty, things having to do with mental health, things to rebuild the infrastructure of these cities. Your police need to be there to, okay, there's a crime. Let me call the police. They come and show up. These police who are policing these black areas, these impoverished black areas and waiting for a crime to happen. They're like, oh, the numbers are higher in black populations. That's because there's more police waiting there for anything to go down. And escalating in violence very quickly.
Not de-escalating at all.
Treating everyone not only as a threat, but as an evil entity that is there to slay their police lives. Well, guess what? That's not reality. And that is based in old school white supremacy to keep black people and black faces in a seat of oppression so that we are not allowed to rise up past a certain stature. Okay, I'm done.
Praise.
Well, listen,
Praise.
y'all. Listen, y'all. Usually at times like this, you'll have what we like to call a rant by Dean, but now y'all had Reverend Trev came to the Tabernacle. Reverend Trev came and he decided to give y'all a message. Now listen, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna virtually pass around this collection plate. So y'all go ahead and y'all hit up his Cameo account. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead. So he can do what you need to do. So go ahead and hit that collection plate. But
not only that, but donate to Black of the Berry. If you hear this on Anchor, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts,
hit our
please
cash
donate. Yeah, please. Thank you very much. Much obliged.
We gotta talk about that because we just have two personal caches. We don't have a black. We'll talk about that off air.
It's all right.
It's time.
Yeah, it's time now. It's time now.
Support black business.
Absolutely support black businesses.
But no, 110%. Because that's going to help us build the infrastructure that we need to do in order to, because we want to take over the system, but we need to be able to in place our own infrastructure and put our own infrastructure in place. And then speaking of police, I do want to say this: we need more black people as police, y'all. We need to be going ahead and policing our own communities, y'all. We really I understand our distrust and distaste, but we need.
That's how we need to adjust the system.
Literally, you gotta take it over on multiple fronts, y'all. But we know that's a whole different conversation. And
we also agree. We agree.
Go ahead.
Not all cops are murderers. We agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the point is, the ones who are not need to be much more comfortable with tossing out the ones that are and stop protecting each other.
Yes, and that's what it is too. In assistance is that you also got to be like, if your partner's doing something wrong, stop them. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a humanitarian thing now. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's not breaking the law anymore. Like, this person doesn't need to die over faulty tickets or whatever have you.
Selling loose cigarettes on the side.
Selling loose cigarettes. You're choking the guy out. For what?
Jesus. I was listening to Rogan and Jocko, right? And then Jocko had brought up a point. Jocko was like, hey, how most complaints, he was trying to say how, other police, are putting in complaints and trying to stop the other officers, quote unquote, because, that's where most complaints come from. But my question, because the follow-up, Joe didn't ask his follow-up, but my follow-up to that would have been, well, if they're putting all these complaints, how is it that somebody like Derek is able to still be a cop? I mean, I don't even know, Derek, what is, you know what I'm saying? What is the guy's name who killed George? Was it Derek?
I think it was Derek, yeah.
Yeah, I think, or whatever, we just call him, piece of shit number 55. So, we're just trying to figure out how, piece of shit number 55 with over, 12 excessive violence, charges levied against him.
Why is this person still allowed to put citizens at risk?
Yeah, it doesn't make, and then you find out he knew George Floyd. They used to work together.
That didn't help.
No. And then me personally, I believe that black people, we need to start looking at both parties, Democrat and Republican, because both ain't shit. Because you got fucking Amy Kluka, bitch. Yeah, you heard me. You heard what I said. It's your fucking fault that we're even in this motherfucking problem. You should have prosecuted his ass when you had the chance, I don't know, about 3 or 4 years ago, about 3 or 4 times ago, even prior to that. So, fuck you, bitch.
If
I said what I said.
Breathe that in. Hold on.
Yeah. Just.
If the system that right now is so obsessed with regaining trust, if they want to regain trust, the first thing they have to do, first and foremost, is eliminating those that put us at risk. And that's the thing, is stop protecting those that put people, citizens. I'm not even talking, yes, I'm talking about race, but I shouldn't be talking about race. I should just be talking about people that put human lives at risk. They're in a position to protect human lives. Like, we all agree, that's why that's the poster of why they're in that position. Not even going back to like the beginning of the police force and all that.
When it's always just like, for free black people. Yeah, we won't even get into that. How they just want to recapture us. For state. Put us work in the state.
It's funny. I actually just looked up the other day, found this out. I looked up the NYPD shield, and if you look into the image in the yellow part of the shield, there's two images. There's a guy with an arrow and another guy with, I don't know what it is, but it looks like a whip. And I was like, how are we still having this kind of character in a professional uniform? This is their badge.
This is how we still have a character. This is how a character like that is still allowed to exist, because you still have people arguing Aunt Jemima isn't offensive. They're arguing it's not offensive because they're like, this isn't offensive. It has to do with pancakes. This isn't offensive. It's an offensive image. It's an offensive image. It always has been. It always has been. The bottle of syrup is shaped like the wet nurse who would have fed the master's baby.
Which then couldn't even use the same breast to their rule. She couldn't even use her breasts. She couldn't even feed her child on the same breast that their child was being fed on. What kind of fucking nonsense?
So, you know what? Yeah, it's time for Aunt Jemima to go. Uncle Ben, too. Get his black ass out of there, too.
Oh,
yeah.
It's time. It's time. It's time.
Yeah, they like, I'm perfectly fine with that. The only thing I do want to say is that when it comes to the statues, I do believe that we need to put the statues somewhere like in a museum, so that way motherfuckers, when you're going by, you can know everything about these motherfuckers. I
like that.
You need to know everything. Listen,
I like that more so than just destruction of them, because I can acknowledge the historical significance of these characters, but that does not mean, not characters of these people, but that does not mean we need to celebrate people who caused so much death and harm and fear. Why would you celebrate that?
Talk about it.
Now that we know better. Okay, at the time you didn't know better, but guess what? Today you know better. Today, the fact that NASCAR was like, you know what? No more rebel flags.
NASCAR handled this whole thing the best out of every NASCAR came out and was like, this is what we're going to do.
NASCAR was like, I gotta give this to NASCAR. They did.
NASCAR was like, you know what? Yeah, shut it down. You're right. Get this out of here. Yeah, they shut it down.
Yeah. This is all fucked up. Listen. They're like, oops, unmute. Yeah, they're like, listen, we may only have one black driver, but this is still fucked up. You know what I mean? Like,
my man decorated his whole car too. He was like, you know what? We're gonna do this. I'm gonna do it.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I 100% appreciate it, and I'm here with it. Like,
so Dean, you saw the image. Is that what your realization was?
Yeah. So if you know what, Los, if you click on your computer, if you give me the ability to share my screen, I can show the people.
Oh yes, I will. I will definitely do that, sir.
You see what I'm saying? What you're talking about? Because there's two of them I'm gonna show them, and they're both egregious. By
all means, sir.
So you gave me that ability, player?
Yes, you can now share.
All right, cool. So we're gonna see this. Y'all see this, people?
Not yet. Yes.
You see it? So if you see right here, that right there, to me, it looks like a whip, a chain. It could even look like a noose.
We are 100% sure that this is the accurate shield.
Police department. Oh, so this is, hold on. So they have a few, actually. So you know what? Let's do this.
Let's do like a 2020 or something.
.com.
Oh, you're doing it. Oh,
okay. Whoa, so what the fuck is this?
Careful.
Whoa, easy now.
All right, now we're just gonna
listen. You better turn that. Don't ever put your search bar visible.
Well, yeah, no. You know, I wasn't.
That's a rookie mistake.
I wasn't worried about that. I wasn't worried about because this is none of that nonsense is on this computer. This computer
don't type anything with an X or a P to start off.
I was going to say X or P. Start with X or P.
No X, no P.
Oh, this one. Yeah. No, we can do it. So we can just see.
Okay.
Okay.
There you go. See, there you go.
All right. Look at you. I'm proud of you.
Don't play yourself because you're trying to prove something.
He definitely has the incognito browser. He does.
Well, no, not on this computer. So okay, you know what? All right.
Okay.
So we see. All right. So from this, I know which one it is. So I'm gonna go here, and then we're just gonna go NYPD Shield. Let's go to images, and it was this right here. Boom, boom, boom. Boom. So this right here looks like a whip. That's what people were saying.
Mm-hmm.
That, I don't know what the fuck that is, but this does look like.
And why is he dressed like that?
Yeah, I was about to say, this looks like, well then we remember what, the police were originally made for. They were slave catchers. You see what I'm saying? So we know that, their whole, it was all rooted in fuckery. And then on top of that,
gentlemen, if you didn't know, the police were created to keep.
Oh yeah, you know what? We are speaking from a place that is just like, we are just saying that, hey, like we're assuming that they know. They may not.
But at the same time, I posted a few weeks ago. I was like, what did I say? I don't remember what I said. I've been talking all kinds of shit. I've been very honest and very direct. But I was like, I will not educate you. Do better. So if you're confused by anything we're saying, do the research. Like genuinely do the research. I'm not just talking go to one site. Don't just go to one site, and don't jump on like headline news. Do the actual research, and you will see where these things are coming from. You'll see where there's this history of systemic pain and racism, and what it all boils back down to. Did you watch? Jon Stewart did that deep dive on the police force. He did such a good job with it. He did such a good job. I didn't even see
that.
It was really, really good. 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I
gotta go check that out.
What I love with not with Jon Stewart. I'm sorry, John Oliver. Sorry, apologies. John Oliver did a deep dive on the police force. And
the Oliver Report, or whatever it's called. Yeah.
One of the things I appreciate with Last Week Tonight with HBO is that like a lot of the deep dives they just post on YouTube for people to watch for free, which I appreciate because there's such genuine good information there. And I do not think that we should all be getting our news only from Last Week Tonight and the Daily Show. They are entertainment first, but at the same time you have people in positions in both of their shows that are very willing to speak their truth and speak the truth as well. So I appreciate them on that level.
So,
So anime, yeah?
Yeah. So no, hold on. Before we get to anime, I do want to bring up your newest album that is out because you put out an album during quarantine. Your fears will not be soothed. Can we talk about treason on that album? Because first of all, that gave me some, like, when you started like rapping a little bit, I got like I got a little bit of Tribe feels from that that moment, like right there. Yeah, if you listen to Treason, and if you listen to that, like, and then anybody who listens to it, if you're a real Tribe fan, you're gonna understand exactly what I mean and the journey that he kind of brings you on. What would you say about that?
Hold on, I gotta find this. So
first of all,
my boy Aaron Crothers, who I went to. My boy Aaron Crothers, he described treason the best way. Because he described it as if PM Dawn and Digital Planets made a record together, and I was like, yes. I was like, yes.
Right.
I feel seen. No, treason was.
I'm just talking about that one stanza. That one stanza, like when you like started rap. Yeah, like I was like, this is giving me. Yeah. I was like, son, like when you listen to it, it was like I was like, I feel a little Tribe here. I don't know why. No, that's where at least I went.
Well, what kind of Tribe? Like, you talking like Midnight Marauders or like? later Tribe, like recent Tribe?
Midnight, nah. We're talking about old school Tribe. Yeah.
But no, because the whole EP got like a little bit of an old school flair to it. Like not without. I really wanted to just. I was stuck in the house, and so I did it over 6 weeks. And outsourced because everybody was separated. And like Andrew Cooksley, who's my guitar player, he was like, he had some other stuff going on. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna like, are you cool if I reach out to somebody else to like play and stuff? He's like, yeah, absolutely. And it was kind of like it was, that EP is the closest to like solo work where I was very much in the cone because I was just here. I was sitting at this desk, working through shit and figuring out what I wanted to say, and like took a couple songs that we hadn't finished and was like, you know what, these really fit with this as well. And the whole thing is really, it's like the self-destructive mind versus the self-reflective mind of the beginning of the quarantine. And that's the whole thing. Like that's the honesty, during global panic and quarantine. Like that was the whole idea, the idea of your fears will not be soothed. And Treason is one that with all the songs, I just wanted to like remove any boundaries of genre and just go. And so like I ended up with these like half rapped, half spoken word sections that pop up in a couple places. And Treason, I think, is the most effective one. Just the way that like the whole track breaks down and leaves all this space for it. And it's just a full conversation that happens in these moments. And like, it feels like such an effective, it felt like such an effective form of storytelling, as opposed to being labored by anything around it. It's just like, here's the, because it's the where the hell did I go? Faced with the first thing worthy of worshiping, and I stall in utero. Unable to grow to emo from embryo. Burned all your photos. That was too far, I know. I corrupted the wrong memories. Now I'm wishing you would message me from your quarantine. And it was such a simple section. Peace.
Hold on. One second. Peace. There we go. We had to give you
bar after bar.
Bars, bruv.
I was just like, it was just it was the simplest form of emotional honesty, of like just it's like the whole thing's about like the masculine fragility that we have and the fuck ups we make because of it, and being like, well, I feel this way, so I got to do this. And then you're like, ooh, that was wrong.
Yeah. And like, probably should. Yo, listen.
But the difficulty in admitting that. And so like the whole song is just this like, and there's a bunch of moments in there where it's like, I'm trying to appease my own demons. And I say that in that song. It's like, I want applause for treason. Won't stop until I free my demons. And so it's like this idea of like, there's also the asshole nature of it still taking over, where like, I want applause for treason. Like I want to be applauded for my apology. Like I want you to take, oh, I messed up, but I want to be treated as a martyr because of my mistakes. And so it's that song.
Look at what I'm doing for you. Well, I'm doing it for me, but look what I'm doing for you too.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Like, and so I feel the whole EP.
That's a Scorpio in you.
Yearly, that is true. The whole.
Oh wait! Y'all know each other's signs? What kind of romance?
He has the same. He has the same. Well, excuse me. I have, because he's older. I have his birthday.
Oh, word?
We're November 5th.
Yeah, November 5th. Remember.
Listen,
of November.
In the UK, we get fireworks for our birthday every year because it's Guy Fawkes. So they have.
I didn't know that.
V for Vendetta. I watch V for Vendetta every year on my birthday.
I didn't know y'all had the same birthday.
A real one, player.
Crazy. Look at that.
Yes. Listen.
The universe. Look at God.
Listen. God works in mysterious ways.
Look at God.
All this because James had to, decide to win the Tony. And then I was like, oh shit, entertainment looks like it could be fun. I can't sing or dance, but I can talk. And that's literally, that's when we started talking about the podcast. It was because I saw James and I started talking to him and I was like, yo, you think we can, fuck around and have some fun? All because James decided to go win a Tony. So thank you, James. We appreciate you.
Thank you. I do appreciate it.
James, come on down, James.
Open all the doors.
James.
And we also do need to set up that meeting with you and Ellis. Ellis said he hasn't met you and he wants to meet you. And he said, y'all can come to BTB. Remember that, player? We'll bring you back to a few episodes.
James. James.
Ellis, James.
That was my dad voice.
But you know what, though? Speaking of you as an artist, I do have a question. With you having that's how you pay your bills, is being an artist. You know what I mean? You are a.
My bills are not paid right now during lockdown. I will say that fully and honestly. My bills are not paid.
Yeah, so after this, please hit Trevor's Cash App, please.
Hit that cameo. But wait, has the government helped y'all out at all or no? Over there or nah?
They've helped some. The theater industry here is struggling. We are on the verge of collapse. They've just this week made announcements of nothing's really going to be back until 2021.
God damn.
And it is terrifying because the government help has not been great. I've received none. And it varies from person to person because it depends on basically how they pose you. Because what's different is the theater industry. We are all in the UK as opposed to the US. We're all considered self-employed as opposed to being employees of the producers who employ us. The benefit is we're not worried about the healthcare side of it because we do have the NHS. It is a wonderful organization. They struggle and there are flaws, but part of that is because of funding and because you have not a large enough funded group of people taking care of an entire country. But what the NHS does is phenomenal. And the people who work for the NHS are some of the hardest human beings working on the planet. So on that side of it, we're not as concerned with the healthcare side, but at the same time, when it comes to things like this, then we fall into, weren't able to be furloughed by any government schemes. So we're completely out of the window of that. And then you have where they start looking at people, they're like, okay, how many tax returns do you have and how much have you made previously? And if you've made too much or you've made too little, or if you haven't been filing enough tax returns, like people who only recently graduated and are working, then the government does not have any assistance for you during this period where our entire industry is down. And so right now there's massive asks and lobbying and petitions being made and signed to try and get the government to help the theater industry. Because without it, the way that it looked coming into lockdown is not the way it's going to look coming out of it. You already have some shows that aren't going to make it. Some of them have publicly announced that they won't return. Some of them have not said it publicly yet, but we in the industry have heard, oh, this show unfortunately won't be back. West End shows, large-scale productions that cannot come back after this because the government has left us on our own. And like I realize and acknowledge that this is not as simple as you can't just pull money out of the sky and then expect it to magically have value.
Right.
But it's times like this.
But they do anyway.
But they seem to. But at the same time, you have people of privilege sitting in positions of privilege. Not to name anyone, but you do have certain people in high levels in the theater industry who are hanging on to their money as opposed to being helpful with it. If there's ever a time to help people survive, these people who've made you millionaires and billionaires, help them survive until the industry picks back up, now would be the time. But so it's a struggle. It's a struggle. My bills are not paid. I know I'm not the only one. So I'm not. Yeah. I'm not screaming for my aid as much as I'm screaming for a much larger acknowledgement of the benefit of the entertainment industry as a whole, what we do, the fact that everybody's been home watching Netflix to the end, watching YouTube to the end, watching like everything, streaming all their Disney Plus stuff. They're about to stream the original Broadway cast of Hamilton on Disney Plus. Like these things will be streamed. The people who made these things are the entertainment industry. The people who've made these things, who've allowed people to escape during their lockdown, are all of us in the entertainment industry, and we're the ones who the majority of our governments have said, good luck. We'll see you on the other side.
Yeah, that's fucking that's crazy because I'm trying to think now. So like in New York, so Cuomo said that, you know, I guess phase 4, that's when everything will be able to open up, or whatever the case may be, right? But he said that Broadway was going to be shut down until like September, I think it was.
Yeah.
Or maybe even
large gatherings, anything like that. September, some not even till 2021.
I would
like concerts.
Anyone listening, I'm not saying that I have inside information, but I would say I would be cautious of any dates that are announced that do not include 2021, whether that be on the West End or on Broadway. Not that it's not impossible, but I would be very cautious of trusting any dates that aren't next year at this point, because in London and in New York, you had such a massive spike of infection, and we have to be careful, and social distancing guidelines make it difficult for theaters to operate realistically, because like in a movie theater, their operating costs are much lower, so you can sell every other seat and still be all right. It doesn't work the same way. In theater, it does not work the same way, and the fact that people have tried to lump it in the same way is diminutive and insulting, and it's inaccurate. And so we have to either find a completely different way of doing it, which some people are trying to figure that out, or we have to get to the point of a vaccine where it's less of a chance, or where enough of the population has been infected. But the problem with that has been death. So it's like, so it's
this whole COVID thing has been a real eye opener when it's come to things. So I do have a question for you. Have you been looking to get into voiceover work? Because I know you were in the Lego movie, weren't you?
No. Oh no, I wish. I was in Lego Marvel Superheroes 2. I was Nick Fury. And so it was really fun. It was really fun. Like, I have that forever now. Like, I will always have that.
So. Yep, absolutely.
That's dope.
I have that V that I will carry with me for my entire life.
Are you still looking to get into voiceover work?
Yes. And I've been like I've got my studio here, and I've had some voiceover auditions. I've had no bites. So like anything I've been pushing on this side has not, during the lockdown, has not, any seeds I've planted have not bloomed, but I will continue to keep pushing and trying to keep anything that brings any income in, because that has been difficult.
Right. Yeah, especially with entertainment. It's a very odd time.
Y'all didn't get 1,200, right? Y'all didn't send no money to y'all in the UK, right?
Not for his tax bracket.
Well, no, but the problem with that is that comes down to your U.S. income tax, and like my income tax have been filed on a UK base for the last 3.5 years, and then I have to report to the U.S. tax doc. I have to report to the U.S. and say, this is what I earned, this is what I paid. So the U.S. is like, oh, okay, you don't owe us as well. And so that's the way my taxes have operated since I moved here.
Yeah, so he don't get.
And are you officially like a UK citizen, or are you just resident kind of thing?
No, so I'm on a tier 1 visa. So in 3 more years, I could be a permanent resident, and then I could get 2 passports. But I have to adhere to all the UK rules over those next 3 years for them to give me the thumbs up to allow me to freely bounce back and forth between the 2 countries.
Yeah, you'll be all right.
Which would be the ideal. But right now, it's a survival game. Because right now, it's a survival game. It's a game of like, how long can I hold on without income? And that's what it is right now. So it's like, if there's an adjustment where I have to go back to the US for a while, it's seeing what do I have to do to maintain that status here so that I don't lose the years I've built up towards that residency.
Yeah, right. This fucking COVID. This is
I thought about that. I was like, wait a minute. How's that work?
The reality is, the COVID-19 is not. You can't place blame in one place, and that's what makes it difficult, because a lot of people are suffering over something that there's not a lot of control over, and there hasn't been a lot of control over. You could point fingers at the way the U.S. government handled the rolling out of information. You could point fingers at the way individual states operated differently. You could point fingers at the way the UK started late. You could point fingers at the way that China rolled out information in the beginning. But all of that is ultimately moot. Like, it's ultimately a moot point. And it comes down to something happened, and it was a global issue. It's a global issue. It's something the entire planet is suffering through. Suffering, not just dealing with, suffering.
Yeah.
Except New Zealand.
But even they've had a new
They
spike.
have, yeah.
Like they handled it. They shut down hard. But look at the way New Zealand handled assault rifles, where they were like, "Oh, there was an assault rifle shooting. Yeah, citizens can't have those anymore." It's like, oh, well, that was easy.
Yeah, they kind of got rid of that. You know what it is though? I'm
about to move to New Zealand. Fuck this.
Right?
Yeah, New Zealand's definitely a dope.
Listen,
dope
we don't
place.
live that Hobbit life.
But you'll be around for a while.
Yes.
You'll be around for a while, live off the land and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Last hairy feet.
Yeah. looking like fucking like anytime I think of like Lord of the Rings, that's when I think of like New Zealand. You know what I mean? Like, to me, like, that's just like I don't know why I associate Lord of the Rings with New Zealand.
I'd go over to New Zealand and be a king.
Peter Jackson shot all his stuff there, but he shot the Lord of the Rings movies there.
There we go. See? A little something. You know what, people? We have had Trevor for a while now, people, and we appreciate your time. We definitely want to have you on for a part 2.
Oh, yeah, we can nerd out. Sure.
Like, to get into all kind of, like, we can have that as just a nerddom. Like, that episode is just straight ridiculous.
We could dive into that. We didn't even talk about video games today.
No, we did not.
We can't right now. Listen,
yeah, that's a whole nother. Because, like, listen, you know, I got some Overwatch to play soon.
Joe Rogan will be proud of us right now. We went for like 2 hours.
Listen, Joe, we're trying, we building, but one day we're gonna see you play. We're gonna see you.
Listen, he got that Spotify cash now though, so he
$100 million
sitting pretty. Pretty.
He's moving to Texas now too. He's getting the fuck out of Cali. He goes, fuck this. I got some money. I'm getting the fuck out of California with all these people. I can't blame him. Get him some land. You know what I'm saying? Gonna have some guns. He's gonna like fucking just protect his shit. It's some real American shit. Good for you, Joe. But listen, people, we appreciate you, Trevor, for stopping on by here to the Berry Gang.
Oh, thanks, John.
Closing out our UK tour. We appreciate you, player. I am Dean. Well, listen, first of all, Trevor, is there anything that you just kind of want to, you know, roll out to the people, let them know to kind of check you out on?
Mm-hmm.
Yo, follow me on the Instagram at Astonishing Trev. I'm most active there. I have a Trevor Dion Nicholas Facebook. I'll be honest, I don't check it most of the time. I also have Twitter, and I pretty much just tweet stuff and then leave it. I don't come back and communicate very often. Instagram, I'm with you on Instagram. I don't have TikTok. I'll watch them, but I don't have one. But follow me.
What's
on
your Cameo?
Check out the band. My Cameo, Trevor Dion Nicholas. Definitely check me out on Cameo. I will make. I've really enjoyed the cameos through lockdown. I've been very creative with them because I've watched some that are real bad, and I was like, I got to make something that at least feels like it's worth people's time. So I put that production value into my cameos.
Listen, Big E, watch out. He coming for your cameo money, Big E.
No, I can't mess with Big E. Big E's the man. He's the man.
Yeah. No, we just joking, fucking around.
Please check out the band Neighborhood Goliath. We released a Incubus cover of Pardon Me, which we're asking for donations for Black Lives Matter. I put a spoken word section in the middle of it, going through exactly how I felt about it very candidly. So please check that out. That's on YouTube. The album Your Fears Will Not Be Soothed is streaming everywhere, and we have a new single coming out probably in August called Swallow, which I'm getting something created, and I don't want to say too much because this video I'm getting a dream of mine created for this music video, and the next time we talk, we're going to talk about this other obsession I've had since I was a kid. I'm so glad we didn't talk about it now. Now I can tease it.
This is perfect because then, all right, so then we have to, that means we're going to have to shoot in August either before or right after the video is released. So that way we can definitely break that down because I definitely want to talk about that.
Because
we didn't even talk about your train. God damn it. How'd y'all run a fucking train?
Whoa.
For Dark Stars.
Oh, rent a train. I thought you said, how'd y'all run a train?
Yeah,
I was like, whoa, what video did you see?
Yeah, that's what I was like, what?
No, they rented a train for Dark Stars.
I was like, me and Trevor were like, huh?
He's about to be like, what the fuck is going on?
Not both ways. Huh?
The family show. The family show.
I was like, yo, Dean, yo, keep it down, man.
Chill out, player. You hit me. You don't do that.
Okay, next time we come back, we will talk about how we rented a train, a London Underground tube carriage for Dark Stars, and filmed the music video in the tube with a drum set. And we'll talk about this new video we're shooting for Swallow and this thing I'm having made that ties back to another one of my pop culture obsessions as a kid. Like, this is something I'm the most, like, as much as Ren and Stimpy is my sense of humor, this is the other part of it. Like, this is the other side of it completely. These two things craft the majority of things that roll through my brain. Like, the majority of thoughts that roll through my brain are stained by either Ren and Stimpy or this other thing that I'm having.
I can't wait for
created.
This.
So yeah.
Good teaser.
Listen, people. We are going to be back with a part 2 of this Quarantine Questions. I am Dean. That is the Madman Los. That right there is the man, Trevor Dion Nicholas. This has been Black and the Berry. We appreciate y'all, and we out.
Peace.
Listen, Trevor, thank you, son. We appreciate that.
Awesome,
That was
dude.
No, thank you.
Awesome.
Bro, that was a fucking, oh, yeah.
Joe, I told you, Joe Rogan will be proud, man. Joe Rogan will be proud.